What if I told you that in the stillness of the moment you could find something deeper than peace? What if the key to unlocking your true self was not in doing, but in simply being? As we rush through life, consumed by the noise of our thoughts and the weight of our past and future, we miss something profound. A truth so simple yet so elusive. It's not in the big moments. It's in the pause between breaths, the space before the next thought, the quiet hum of life beneath the chaos. But can you really stop the world from spinning long enough to hear it? Can you sit in that silence and face the truth within yourself? Let's explore this journey together, where stillness isn't just a break from the noise. It's the doorway to freedom. If this resonates with you, if you're curious to uncover more about living fully in each moment, don't forget to hit subscribe to Buddhism in every moment. Your support will inspire us to continue creating videos that bring peace, wisdom, and clarity to your life. Stay with us and let's walk this path together. Part 1. The quiet power of being present. There is a moment in every day when time seems to stop, when the world around you is still, and yet your mind is racing at 1,000 miles per hour. This is the essence of life today. We live in a world that demands our attention in every second, urging us to be anywhere but here. The present moment, where peace, joy, and truth live, seems more like a fleeting illusion than something we can truly grasp. We've all been there, feeling trapped in the fast-moving stream of life, constantly chasing the next goal, the next idea, the next distraction. It's as though we're spinning endlessly in place, trying to outrun our thoughts, our fears, our regrets. We're told to live in the moment, to be present, but nobody tells us how. How do we stop this ceaseless noise that fills our heads, the overwhelming thoughts about what happened and what might come? How do we slow down when our minds don't know how to stop running? For some, the answer might seem simple. Meditate, breathe deeply, quiet the mind. But how many times have you tried to meditate, only to find yourself lost in an endless loop of distraction? How often have you breathed deeply, only to feel like you're forcing it, like something inside of you refuses to settle? These attempts to calm the mind often feel fake or unachievable, as though we're trying to fool ourselves into thinking we can silence the chaos. And the truth is, we can't. The reason we struggle to be present is because we've never truly learned what it means to be in the moment. We are so used to living for the next moment, constantly chasing the future or revisiting the past, that the present slips through our fingers like sand. The mind races not because we can't control it, but because it's been conditioned to do so. It has become a constant whirlwind of worries, regrets, and hopes. But if we pause for just a moment, if we allow ourselves to be here right now, we might find that the stillness we seek was always available to us. Presence is not something we force. It's something we return to gently. It's not about perfect control, about taming the mind into submission. Presence is about compassion, compassion for ourselves, for our thoughts, and for the moments that come and go. It's about letting go of the constant need to do and simply allowing ourselves to be. This isn't a process of perfection, but one of acceptance. In this stillness, in this acceptance, the true magic happens. The true meaning of presence isn't found in a perfect moment of meditation or an absence of thought. It's found in the act of coming back to the present moment again and again. It's about stopping just for a breath and allowing the world to unfold around us without needing to control it. It's about returning to the body, to the breath, to the simple sensations of life. The true magic of presence lies in slowing down, not in a grand gesture, but in the very act of noticing. Slowing down is where wisdom lies. It's where we find clarity, not in the endless pursuit of goals, but in the simple practice of being. When we slow down, we give ourselves the space to feel, to hear, and to see. This isn't just about sitting still, it's about living in the stillness. It's about being aware of the sensations in your body, the rhythm of your breath, and the simplicity of each moment. When we do this, we step out of the constant rush and into the quiet wisdom that has always been there. Silence, we often think, is empty. But what if silence is not an absence, but a presence? A presence full of meaning, full of opportunity. Silence is the space where we can hear the truth that we've been ignoring. It's the space where the noise falls away and we can hear ourselves again. This is the first step in truly connecting with the present, allowing the silence, not as something uncomfortable to escape, but as something to embrace. In that silence, we reconnect with ourselves and with the world around us. The first steps to connecting with the present moment are deceptively simple. Sit still, close your eyes, focus on what you can feel. Notice the sensations in your body, the warmth of your breath, the way the air touches your skin, the weight of your body as it rests. Notice the thoughts that arise and let them come and go without judgment. Just observe. In doing so, you begin to notice how much of your life has been spent elsewhere, in the past or the future, in the noise of your mind. By simply being present, you can start to unravel the tightly wound thread of your thoughts. You don't need to fight them, you don't need to stop them, just let them be. And in doing so, you open up the space for something deeper to emerge. Something you've been craving without even knowing it. Stillness, peace, presence. It's not about controlling your thoughts, but about letting them move through you without clinging to them. When you let go of the need to control, to perfect, to rush, you create the space for peace to enter. And in this space, you are free not from your thoughts, but in spite of them. Presence isn't about silencing the mind. It's about allowing the mind to be what it is and still finding peace in the chaos. So let's take a moment to breathe, to stop, to let the stillness settle around us like a soft blanket. Let's listen to the world, to the body, to the breath. Let's stop chasing the future and simply live in the present. Because in this moment, you are already enough. You are already here. You don't need to search for peace. It's right here, waiting for you to notice it. This isn't some mystical concept. It's the simple, often overlooked truth that the present moment is not just a placeholder until the next moment arrives. It is the only moment that truly matters. And yet, most of us spend our days rushing through it, distracted by thoughts of what's next or what's past. We forget how to truly be here. But the moment we decide to stop, to let the world settle around us, is the moment we reconnect with life. Think about it for a second. When was the last time you sat still without the pressure of doing, without the constant pull of your to-do list, and simply allowed yourself to feel the world around you? The air on your skin, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the hum of your thoughts as they come and go without judgment. It's in those moments that life speaks to us most clearly, not in words but in presence. Yet this practice of being present isn't something that comes easily. Our minds are constantly flooded with thoughts, and we're conditioned to run from stillness. Silence in our modern world is often viewed as a void, something uncomfortable to be filled with noise, distractions, or thoughts. But when we learn to embrace silence, not as a lack, but as a space filled with potential, we discover something incredibly powerful: awareness. Presence is awareness without attachment, seeing the world exactly as it is, without the distortion of our desires, fears, or judgments. It's not about denying reality or escaping the struggles of life. It's about meeting life as it is, in its raw, unfiltered form. That's where the healing happens. That's where we find peace. We don't have to force our minds to stop. We just need to stop fighting them. And in that simple act of surrender, everything shifts. The quiet that surrounds us in these moments is not emptiness. It is the very fabric of life itself, waiting for us to notice it. And once we do, we begin to hear the whispers of our soul, the subtle guidance of our intuition, and the deep connection to everything around us. In this stillness, we discover that we are not separate from the world. We are a part of it. We are made of the same energy that moves through the trees, the earth, and the sky. As you breathe in, feel that connection. As you exhale, let go of all the thoughts that cling to you. In this moment, you are free. Free from the weight of expectations, free from the constant urge to fix or change. All that is required is your presence. Just be here, right now. With no agenda, no expectations, just being. This kind of presence isn't just a fleeting feeling, it is a practice. A practice that takes patience, compassion, and most importantly, a willingness to surrender to the moment. But in that surrender, something beautiful happens. You begin to realize that the moment is always enough. You don't need anything more. The breath, the body, the sensation of your feet on the ground, these are the things that matter. When we slow down and let go of the rush to get somewhere else, we begin to experience life in a way we never have before. We start to feel the weight of our existence in a new way, not as burdens, but as blessings. The stillness becomes not an absence, but a presence, alive, vibrant, and full of potential. And this is where we find our true selves, not in the busyness of life, not in the noise, but in the quiet spaces between. In those moments of stillness, we begin to discover who we really are beneath the layers of expectation and fear. We are not our past, we are not our future, we are here in this moment, and that is enough. This is the essence of living fully. So, let's take this journey together. Let's stop running, stop avoiding, and start being. In every breath, in every step, in every silence, we can find the peace we've been seeking all along. Part 2. Embracing silence as a teacher. In the quiet moments of life, when the world falls away and there is nothing but the stillness of the mind and body, there is a paradox that many of us have come to fear. Silence, though often sought, is something that we avoid. We find ourselves reaching for noise, for distractions, for anything that keeps us from facing the emptiness of silence. But what if I told you that this silence you fear is not something to run from, but a space of profound growth? We live in a world that constantly fills our days with sound, the hum of machines, the chatter of people, the endless scroll of notifications. We've become so accustomed to the noise that the idea of silence can feel uncomfortable, even unnerving. Silence in its purest form strips away all the external stimuli, leaving us face to face with ourselves. And that perhaps is the most frightening part. In silence, we are left with no distractions, no stories, no excuses, just the raw truth of who we are. The challenge of sitting in quietness is something that many of us know well. We try to meditate, to breathe, to still the mind, but the moment we stop doing, the mind begins its relentless chatter. Thoughts flood in like an unruly crowd, racing, judging, commenting, demanding our attention. We fidget, we shift, we open our eyes just to check if the silence is over. Why is it so hard to sit in the quiet? Why does the mind rebel against stillness as if it is allergic to peace? The answer lies in the way we've conditioned ourselves to perceive silence. We are taught that silence is empty, that it is a void waiting to be filled. But in truth, silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of potential. It is the fertile ground where awareness can grow. Just as a seed needs soil to root itself and flourish, we need silence to connect with the depths of our inner world. And just as the soil holds countless possibilities, silence holds the infinite potential of our own self-awareness. But this is a lesson that cannot be learned from books or from the busy hum of the world. It is a lesson that can only be learned by being in silence, by sitting with it, by letting it wash over you and show you what lies beneath. The first step is learning to be comfortable with the discomfort that silence brings. For many, it is not the absence of sound that causes discomfort, but the absence of distraction. In silence, we are forced to face the thoughts and emotions we often try to outrun. We are left alone with our fears, our doubts, our insecurities. And in that raw confrontation, silence becomes both a mirror and a teacher. Learning to be comfortable with silence is a practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but something that unfolds slowly, like a delicate flower. One of the simplest and most effective ways to transform silence from discomfort into opportunity is through meditation. Meditation teaches us to sit with ourselves, to breathe deeply, and to witness our thoughts without becoming entangled in them. It helps us develop the skill of observing without judgment, of allowing each thought, each emotion, each sensation to come and go without clinging to it. In this practice, silence becomes not a threat, but a space for discovery, a place where we can learn to simply be. The role of silence in Buddhist teachings is not to escape the noise of the world, but to deepen one's connection to reality. Ancient monks for centuries have used silence as a path to enlightenment. They did not seek silence as a refuge, but as a way to connect more deeply with the present moment. For these monks, silence was not about running away from life or avoiding discomfort. It was about returning to the essence of being, about stripping away the layers of distraction that keep us from fully experiencing the world as it is. In the Buddhist tradition, silence is seen as a doorway to mindfulness, a way to sharpen one's awareness and understanding of the present moment. It is through silence that we can begin to hear the subtle whispers of the world around us, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the soft murmur of our own breath, the beating of our hearts. These sounds are always present, but in the noise of our daily lives they are drowned out. Silence allows us to tune into these quiet moments, to hear the music of the world in its most subtle form. And in doing so, we discover that the world is far more alive than we ever realized. But silence does more than awaken our awareness. It also deeply affects the physical body. When we are still, when we stop moving and allow ourselves to rest in silence, we begin to notice sensations in our body that we usually ignore. The tension in our shoulders, the tightness in our chest, the fluttering of our heartbeat. These sensations are always there, but they become more noticeable when we stop moving, stop doing, stop distracting ourselves. Silence makes us more attuned to our bodies, more connected to the signals it is sending us. In the silence, the body speaks to us in ways that words cannot. It tells us where we are holding tension, where we are avoiding discomfort, where we are resisting the flow of life. As we learn to listen to these subtle movements, we begin to understand our bodies on a deeper level. We start to notice how emotions manifest physically, how fear tightens our stomach, how anger causes our jaw to clench, how sadness brings heaviness to our chest. In silence, we stop running from these sensations. We begin to meet them with curiosity, with compassion, and in doing so, we create space for healing. The relationship between silence and the body is one of deep interconnection. When we learn to sit in silence, we are not only quieting the mind, we are also learning to listen to the body's wisdom. In Buddhist meditation, the focus is not just on the mind or the breath, but also on the body. The body is seen as a vessel for awareness, and through silence, we can attune ourselves to its messages. When we stop moving, stop talking, stop thinking, we allow the body to express itself fully. And in that expression, we can find clarity, peace, and healing. Becoming aware of the subtle movements within is an essential part of this process. It's not enough to simply sit still and hope for silence to bring peace. We must learn to listen, deeply and attentively, to the sensations that arise in our bodies. Whether it's the tightness in your chest, the tingling in your fingers, or the subtle pulse of energy running through your body, each sensation carries a message. When we meet these sensations with awareness and presence, we begin to unravel the knots that bind us. We become more attuned to our bodies and our emotions, and through that connection we begin to heal. Silence, then, is not a void to be feared. It is a space in which we can discover who we truly are. It is a teacher, a guide, and a mirror that reflects back to us the truth of our existence. It is in the silence that we can find clarity, connection, and peace. And it is through embracing silence, not as something to avoid, but as something to welcome, that we begin to uncover the deepest parts of ourselves. However, silence can often bring up discomfort, not because it is inherently troubling, but because it demands our full attention. For most of us, the silence we experience is not pure stillness, but rather a mirror to our internal unrest. Our thoughts begin to churn, and we find ourselves caught in the loops of judgment, worry, and fear. In those moments, silence can feel like a trap, as if the very quietness we sought to find peace in becomes the space where our unresolved emotions rise to the surface. But this discomfort, this moment of resistance, is where the true work begins. Just as the body resists stretching when it is stiff, the mind resists stillness when it is cluttered with thoughts. Yet, if we can learn to sit with the discomfort, to breathe through it, we begin to unravel the layers of tension that have built up inside. Silence is not something to escape from. It is a process of meeting ourselves fully and without resistance. It is in this space that transformation happens. The practice of sitting in silence, of allowing our minds to quiet and our bodies to settle, is a way to deepen our connection with our true selves. It is through silence that we come to understand the nature of our thoughts and emotions, not as something to fix, but as something to observe and accept. In Buddhist meditation, this practice is called observing the mind. We don't try to change our thoughts or push them away. We simply allow them to come and go, watching them like clouds floating across the sky. This practice helps us create a space between our thoughts and our reactions, giving us the ability to choose how we respond. As we continue to deepen our practice, we begin to notice the subtle ways in which silence affects not only the mind but also the body. The connection between silence and bodily sensations is profound. When we sit in stillness, we become more aware of the sensations that arise in our bodies, the tingling in our hands, the tightness in our shoulders, the warmth of our breath. These sensations are not random. They are messages from the body signaling areas of tension, discomfort, or even healing. Through silence, we learn to listen to these messages with compassion, without judgment or fear. The body, in its infinite wisdom, speaks to us in silence. But in order to hear it, we must stop and listen. In our busy, fast-paced world, we rarely take the time to tune into these subtle sensations. We are constantly moving, doing, and thinking. But when we pause, when we sit in silence and allow ourselves to become present, we open ourselves to the deeper rhythms of the body. We begin to understand how our emotions manifest physically, how stress tightens the chest, how anxiety causes shallow breathing, how joy causes a lightness in the body. By paying attention to these sensations, we can learn to respond to them with greater awareness and care. This connection between silence and the body is central to the Buddhist practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches us to be fully aware of our bodily sensations, emotions, and thoughts in the present moment. It's not about escaping the world or our inner experiences. It's about fully engaging with them without attachment or aversion. In silence, we can cultivate this mindfulness, allowing ourselves to be present with whatever arises in the body and mind. But silence isn't just about observing, it's also about creating space for healing. When we sit quietly, we give the body and mind the opportunity to rest and regenerate. We stop running, stop doing, stop striving, and simply allow ourselves to be. In this space of stillness, we can release the tension that has built up over time, tension from work, from relationships, from expectations, and allow the body to relax and heal. Silence becomes a sanctuary for the body, a place where we can let go of the weight we carry and restore our natural state of balance. As we become more comfortable with silence, we begin to notice that it is not only our bodies that respond to it, but also our hearts and minds. Silence allows us to connect with our deepest emotions and desires. It provides the space for us to feel things we might have been avoiding or suppressing. In silence, we can no longer ignore our pain, our sadness, our longing. But instead of running from these feelings, we learn to sit with them. We allow them to rise, to be felt, and to pass, without holding on to them or trying to fix them. This is the power of silence. It creates the space for emotional healing. This practice of embracing silence and sitting with our discomfort is not easy. It requires patience, courage, and a deep trust in the process. But it is through this practice that we can begin to break free from the patterns that keep us trapped in our minds and bodies. Silence is not a passive experience. It is an active engagement with the present moment, a commitment to being fully alive and aware, no matter what arises. As we continue to deepen our practice, we begin to see that silence is not something separate from life. It is life itself. It is the space in which all things arise and pass away. It is the stillness that holds all the movement of the world. It is the essence of being, the ground of all existence. In silence, we come to understand that we are not separate from the world around us. We are one with it. We are made of the same energy, the same stillness, the same presence that pervades all of life. And in this realization, we find peace. Not a peace that comes from avoiding the world or the noise, but a peace that comes from embracing it fully, exactly as it is. Silence becomes not an escape, but a way of engaging more deeply with life. It becomes the foundation of our connection to ourselves, to each other, and to the world around us. Part 3. The subtle art of letting go, surrendering to the moment. There is a subtle art in the act of letting go, one that eludes most of us because we are taught to fight, to control, and to dominate every aspect of our lives. We live in a world where the mantra is "make it happen," where we are told that in order to succeed, we must force our way through challenges, push through resistance, and conquer our fears. We're led to believe that life is something to be controlled, something that we can mold to our will if we just try hard enough. But what if the most profound power lies not in control, but in surrender? What if true freedom comes not from forcing ourselves to bend the world around us, but from allowing the world to unfold naturally, without resistance? The moment we surrender, we are not giving up. We are embracing life as it is without the need to control its direction. Letting go is not about weakness. It's about strength. Strength to be still in the face of uncertainty. Strength to trust that we don't need to fix everything, that we don't need to control every outcome. It's a powerful kind of stillness that allows us to meet life on its own terms. This stillness isn't passive. It is a dynamic, active surrender, an invitation to accept the flow of life and move with it rather than against it. In our culture, we often confuse surrender with defeat, but surrender in the truest sense is a courageous act. It's not about giving up, but about releasing the constant need to push against the tide. It's about stepping into the flow of the moment and trusting that life will guide us where we need to go. In the space of surrender, we discover a kind of quiet power that allows us to be more in tune with the present moment. It's an act of releasing, not because we're weak, but because we are strong enough to let go of the need for control. The practice of surrender is simple, yet it is not easy. It requires us to stop fighting, to stop striving, and to stop resisting. It asks us to sit with what is, no matter how uncomfortable or unsettling it may seem. It challenges us to let go of the familiar, of the stories we've been telling ourselves, and step into the unknown. But as we practice surrender, we begin to experience life in a new way. We no longer need to control everything. We can relax into the present moment and trust that everything is unfolding as it should, trusting the process of life. To surrender fully, we must first learn to trust. Trust is the foundation of surrender. It is the belief that life will take care of us, that we don't need to do everything ourselves. Trusting the process of life is about releasing our need to know every step ahead of time and being willing to follow the path, even when we can't see where it leads. Trusting life doesn't mean that everything will always go the way we expect or desire. In fact, it often means the opposite. Life has a way of surprising us, throwing curveballs and challenges our way that we never could have anticipated. But when we trust the process, we are able to move through those challenges with grace, knowing that we are not alone. Trust allows us to meet the unknown without fear, to embrace uncertainty as a natural part of the journey. When we surrender to the process of life, we begin to trust not only in the world around us, but in ourselves. We trust that we have the strength and wisdom to navigate whatever comes our way. We trust that, even in the most difficult moments, we are capable of handling what life presents to us. The act of surrender, then, becomes an act of deep self-trust. We let go of the need to have all the answers, to control the outcome, and we trust that we are enough just as we are. Surrender is a practice of trust. Trust in the unfolding of the universe, trust in the timing of our lives, and most importantly, trust in ourselves. It's about believing that we don't need to fix everything, that we don't need to rush through life, that we don't need to have all the answers. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a process to be experienced. When we surrender, we give ourselves permission to let life flow without resistance, and in doing so, we experience a deeper sense of peace and freedom. The importance of trust in daily living. Trust isn't something that only applies to big, life-changing decisions. It's something that we must practice every day in every moment. Each small act of surrender, each time we let go of the need to control a situation, brings us closer to the deep trust we seek. Trusting life is about more than just surrendering during times of hardship. It's about trusting in the mundane, in the daily rhythms of life. Trusting that when we wake up in the morning, everything will unfold as it should. Trusting that when we take a step forward, the next step will follow. Trusting that when we speak, our words will be heard. Trusting that we don't need to rush through life, but can take each moment as it comes. Small acts of surrender throughout the day can transform our experience of life. The simple act of releasing our expectations and allowing life to unfold naturally opens up space for peace. We can start by surrendering the need to have every conversation go a certain way, or by letting go of the pressure to be productive every moment. Trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to, without forcing them, creates a profound sense of ease. When we trust life, we allow ourselves to experience it fully. We stop rushing through moments, waiting for the next thing to happen. Instead, we savor the present, trusting that it is enough. Each moment becomes an opportunity to practice surrender, to let go of our attachment to outcomes, and to embrace the beauty of the present moment. Practical steps to surrender. Surrender is not just an abstract concept. It's something we can practice every day. There are simple exercises that can help us integrate surrender into our lives, helping us release the need to control and embrace the flow of life. These exercises don't require special skills or equipment, just a willingness to let go of resistance and trust in the present moment. One of the simplest ways to practice surrender is to focus on the present moment. Rather than worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, we can remind ourselves to be fully present, to experience life as it is right now. When we find ourselves caught up in thoughts or emotions, we can pause, breathe, and bring our attention back to the here and now. This practice of mindfulness helps us cultivate surrender by teaching us to let go of the mental chatter that distracts us from the present. Another powerful practice of surrender is to embrace stillness during daily routines. Whether we're washing dishes, walking, or sitting at our desk, we can use these everyday moments to practice letting go. Instead of rushing through tasks, we can slow down and become fully present with each action. We can surrender the need to finish quickly or perfectly, and instead focus on the experience itself. This is a simple but powerful way to practice surrender throughout the day. We can also practice surrender by releasing expectations. Instead of having a rigid idea of how things should be, we can allow life to unfold naturally. We can trust that we don't need to force things to happen, and that everything will fall into place when the time is right. By letting go of our expectations, we create space for joy, creativity, and peace to flow into our lives. Surrendering to the moment also means releasing our attachment to outcomes. We often hold on to the idea that we must achieve a certain goal, but in doing so, we miss the beauty of the process. When we let go of our attachment to a specific result, we open ourselves up to the possibility of something even better. We stop trying to control the outcome and allow life to surprise us with unexpected blessings. Finally, we can practice surrender by embracing uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and we can't control everything that happens. But rather than fearing uncertainty, we can learn to trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should. By letting go of the need to have everything figured out, we give ourselves permission to live with ease, knowing that each moment is enough just as it is. Surrender is not a one-time act, it's a practice that unfolds over time. The more we practice surrender, the more we cultivate trust in ourselves and the universe. The more we trust, the more peace we experience. Letting go is not about losing control, it's about gaining freedom. It's not about giving up, it's about receiving. And in this space of surrender, we find our deepest connection to life itself. When we trust in the process of life, we give ourselves the freedom to let go of the burden of perfection. The tight grip we've held on our expectations begins to loosen, and in that space, life begins to breathe. We stop demanding that things turn out a certain way and start allowing life to surprise us, to offer us something different, something perhaps even better than we could have planned for. Surrender is the ultimate act of trust. It is the deep knowing that, regardless of the outcome, we are held, we are supported. But this trust doesn't come easily. For many of us, it feels foreign, even uncomfortable. We are conditioned to believe that we must control, that we must always be in charge, that if we are not pushing forward, we are falling behind. The very idea of letting go seems like weakness. Yet, it is in letting go that we find our greatest strength. It's when we stop struggling against the flow that we finally begin to move with it. This surrender, this trust in the flow of life, is not something that only shows up during the big, monumental moments. It is in the small, quiet moments of our daily lives that we are called to practice surrender. It is in the small decisions, the small gestures, that we can release the need for control. When we stop rushing through our day and allow ourselves to be fully present in each task, we begin to experience the power of surrender. Whether it's washing dishes, walking, or simply breathing, each moment offers us an opportunity to surrender to the present. The simple act of letting go of our expectations and embracing the moment as it is, without judgment or attachment, begins to transform our experience of life. We start to notice how much we've been holding on to, how much we've been striving to make everything perfect, to keep everything in place. And in that noticing, we realize that it's not perfection we seek, but peace. We realize that peace comes not from the constant doing, but from the being. The act of surrender allows us to find peace in the ordinary, in the seemingly mundane moments of life. As we continue this practice of surrender, we begin to see how much of our daily stress is rooted in resistance. We resist the flow of life. We resist uncertainty, discomfort, and change. We resist the idea that things might not go as planned, that things might not turn out the way we want them to. But when we let go of this resistance, when we embrace the unknown, we free ourselves from the burden of worry. We start to see that we do not need to control every outcome to be happy. We do not need everything to go according to plan to feel at peace. Trusting life's process is the ultimate act of self-compassion. It's about giving ourselves permission to relax, to rest in the present moment, and to trust that in the end, everything will unfold as it should. When we trust in the process, we stop rushing, stop striving, stop measuring ourselves against some ideal. We stop comparing our journey to others, and we start to walk our own path at our own pace. We begin to understand that life doesn't need to be fixed, it simply needs to be lived. One of the most beautiful aspects of surrender is how it transforms our relationship with time. When we are constantly pushing and striving, we are always chasing time. We are always waiting for the next moment, the next task, the next goal. But when we surrender to the present moment, we stop rushing through life. We slow down and learn to appreciate the beauty of each moment. Time no longer controls us. We become present with it, and in doing so, we begin to experience a deep sense of calm. We no longer feel the need to fill every moment with action or achievement. We learn to be with the moment, to allow it to unfold naturally without expectation. Practical steps to surrender. If surrender is to become a part of our lives, it must be practiced daily. It's not something that happens overnight, it's a lifelong journey. But there are small, simple practices we can begin with to start shifting our relationship with surrender. One of the first steps in practicing surrender is to focus on the present moment. This means stopping, physically and mentally, and taking a moment to notice where we are. It's easy to get caught up in thoughts of the past or the future, but surrender requires us to be fully here right now. We can do this by focusing on our breath, on our body, or on our surroundings. Simply stop and notice what is happening in this moment, without judgment, without the need to fix anything. Another simple way to practice surrender is through mindful activities. Whether we're washing dishes, walking, or driving, we can bring our attention to what we are doing. We can let go of the need to hurry or get to the next thing. Instead, we can focus on the sensation of our body moving through space, the feeling of the water on our hands, the rhythm of our breath. By slowing down and being fully present in these moments, we can practice surrender in the most ordinary parts of our day. We can also practice surrender by letting go of expectations. So often, we approach life with an agenda, with a set of expectations about how things should go. But surrender asks us to release those expectations, to let life unfold as it will. We may not always get what we want, but we can trust that what we need will come to us in its own time. Instead of forcing outcomes, we can allow things to happen naturally. This doesn't mean we stop trying or stop taking action. It means we release our attachment to the results. Another practice of surrender is to trust that we are enough, just as we are. So often, we try to prove our worth to be more, to do more. But surrender asks us to let go of this need for validation, to simply rest in the truth that we are enough in this moment. When we stop chasing approval, we find peace within ourselves. We realize that we don't need to do anything more to be worthy of love and acceptance. We simply need to be. Finally, we can practice surrender by embracing uncertainty. Life is unpredictable and we cannot control everything that happens. But instead of fearing uncertainty, we can learn to embrace it. We can trust that whatever comes our way, we will have the strength to meet it. We can let go of the need to know what's next and allow ourselves to flow with the rhythms of life. This shift in perspective allows us to release the fear of the unknown and step into each moment with openness and trust. Surrender is not a one-time act. It is a lifelong practice. But with each small step, each moment of letting go, we deepen our trust in the process of life. We begin to understand that we don't need to control everything. We can simply let go and trust that everything will unfold as it should. And in that trust, we find peace. Part 4. Lessons from Ancient Wisdom. The Teachings of Monks and Sages. For centuries, monks and sages have lived by a simple, yet profound teaching. Stillness is the gateway to understanding the deeper truths of life. In a world that glorifies movement and action, the monk's dedication to silence and stillness is a powerful contradiction. In their quiet monasteries, tucked deep in the forests of Thailand or nestled in the ancient stone temples of Japan, they have cultivated a way of life that rejects the noise and rush of the modern world in favor of deep connection to the present moment. They know that in the silence, the answers are not hidden but revealed. Monasteries, in their essence, are sanctuaries of silence. They are places where the mind is allowed to rest, to return to its natural state, untouched by the distractions of the external world. The monks understand that true peace can only be found when the mind is still, when the thoughts are allowed to settle like dust after a storm. It is in this stillness that the inner life blossoms. The monks have perfected the art of silence, not as a form of avoidance, but as a means of diving deeper into the essence of their being. The stillness allows them to listen, not just to the world around them, but to the subtle whispers of their own hearts. In the silence of the monastery, the monks are able to find the space needed to truly observe their own thoughts and emotions, not as something to fix, but as something to understand. The distractions of daily life, the external noise that constantly fills our heads, are absent here. It is in this absence that the monks are able to witness the ebb and flow of their inner landscape, and it is here that they begin to discover the profound peace that comes from simply being. This practice of stillness, perfected in the monasteries of ancient traditions, is not something meant to be locked away in temples or distant mountains. The wisdom of the monks can and should be brought into our modern lives, where distractions often pull us away from our true selves. The lessons from the ancient sages offer us the tools to navigate a world filled with noise and clutter. By cultivating stillness in the chaos of our everyday lives, we can unlock the same sense of peace and awareness that the monks have long known. Lessons from ancient Buddhist teachings. Buddhism offers us a powerful set of teachings that help us confront the distractions of the modern world. At the heart of these teachings lies the recognition that suffering arises from our attachment to things, whether it be people, experiences, or our own expectations. The constant striving for more, the relentless pursuit of future goals, and the attachment to past hurts all contribute to the restlessness we feel. But the teachings of the Buddha invite us to free ourselves from these attachments, not through force or repression, but through awareness. One of the core principles of Buddhism is the practice of mindfulness, or the ability to remain present in each moment. Mindfulness, however, is not just about being aware in the sense of simply noticing what is happening around us. It is about deeply engaging with the present moment, being aware of our thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations without judgment or attachment. This awareness is not just an intellectual exercise, but a practice that involves the whole body, mind, and spirit. In our modern world, distractions are abundant. We are bombarded by information, technology, and the constant demand for our attention. But the Buddha's teachings remind us that it is in the stillness, in the present moment, where we find the freedom we seek. The distractions that fill our minds are not the problem. The real challenge is our attachment to them, our tendency to let them control our attention and shape our sense of self. The Buddha's teachings offer us a way to break free from these distractions, not by pushing them away, but by simply becoming aware of them. Through this awareness, we can begin to shift our relationship with the world around us and with our own inner experiences. The teachings of the Buddha are not meant to be followed blindly, but to be practiced and experienced. They are not abstract ideas, but practical tools that help us live more fully and with greater peace. These teachings invite us to see the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. And in doing so, we begin to see the beauty that is already present in every moment, in every breath, in every gesture. Practical insights from Buddhist practices. One of the most profound aspects of Buddhist practice is the simplicity with which it engages with the world. Buddhist monks have developed a set of practices that help them cultivate mindfulness and stillness, even in the most ordinary activities. These practices are not complex or difficult to understand. They simply require the willingness to engage with life more fully, to be present with each moment as it unfolds. One such practice is mindful walking. This practice is especially common in the Thai forest tradition, where monks walk for hours each day in meditation. At first glance, it might seem like walking is simply a means of transportation, but in the context of mindfulness, it becomes an opportunity to engage deeply with the present moment. The monk pays attention to every step, the feeling of the ground beneath their feet, the movement of their legs, the breath as it moves in and out. In this practice, walking becomes more than just a physical action. It becomes a meditation in itself. Mindful walking is a powerful way to reconnect with the body and the present moment. We often take walking for granted, but when we bring full attention to each step, we begin to experience the world in a new way. We become more aware of the sensations in our body, the rhythm of our breath, and the way the world moves around us. This practice can be done anywhere, from a quiet park to a busy city street. By simply paying attention to the act of walking, we bring ourselves back to the present moment, allowing ourselves to fully experience the world as it is. Another key practice in Buddhism is sitting still, something that many people find difficult. In a world that encourages constant movement, stillness can feel like an uncomfortable challenge. But in Buddhist teachings, stillness is not about avoiding life or escaping from it. It is about sitting with life as it is, allowing thoughts, emotions, and sensations to come and go without interference. In this stillness, we allow ourselves to simply be, without needing to do anything. Sitting still is a practice of deep relaxation and openness. It is a way of letting go of the need to control and allowing ourselves to simply be present with whatever arises. In this stillness, we begin to connect with the deeper parts of ourselves, the parts that are often buried under the noise of our daily lives. It is in this space of stillness that we can begin to understand the nature of our thoughts and emotions, not as something to fix, but as something to observe. And in that observation, we find freedom. Silence as a tool for awareness. At the heart of all Buddhist practices lies the use of silence as a tool for awareness. Silence is not an absence of sound, but a space in which awareness can grow. It is in the quiet moments of life that we begin to hear the subtleties of our own minds, the rhythms of our own breath, and the pulse of the world around us. In silence, we are able to tune into our deepest desires, fears, and truths. It is in this silence that we can connect with the present moment without distraction, without judgment. Silence is not about shutting out the world. It is about creating the space for the world to reveal itself to us. When we stop filling the silence with thoughts and words, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of our own experience. Silence invites us to listen, not just to the world but to ourselves. It allows us to become more attuned to the sensations in our body, the emotions in our heart, and the thoughts in our mind. In this space, we begin to develop a deeper awareness of the present moment, not as something to be experienced passively, but as something to be actively engaged with. Through silence, we learn to let go of the constant chatter of the mind. We stop identifying with every thought that arises, every judgment that comes to mind. Instead, we observe them with curiosity and compassion, allowing them to pass without attachment. In doing so, we create the space for a deeper kind of awareness to emerge, one that is not clouded by the noise of our thoughts, but clear and open like the still surface of a lake. Silence is the fertile ground in which mindfulness can grow. When we allow ourselves to be present in the silence, we begin to cultivate a deeper connection with ourselves and with the world around us. Silence becomes not an absence but a presence that holds the potential for growth, transformation, and insight. In the teachings of the Buddha, silence is not something to be feared or avoided. It is a space of profound learning, a tool for deepening our awareness and understanding of the world as it is. Through the practice of silence, we can begin to peel back the layers of distraction and illusion that cloud our perception, allowing us to see the world clearly, without judgment, without attachment. And in that clarity, we find peace. The art of stillness is a delicate dance. It is not a passive withdrawal from life, but an active engagement with it. Monks spend hours in meditation, not to escape the world, but to see it more clearly. In their stillness, they are able to observe life without being swept up by it. They do not try to change the world. They simply allow themselves to meet it as it is. This is the essence of the Buddhist practice, right mindfulness, being fully present in each moment without judgment or attachment. It is through this practice that they come to experience life in its purest form, without the distortion of the ego or the distractions of the mind. The lessons from the ancient Buddhist teachings are timeless and highly relevant to the modern world. In a world filled with constant noise, information, and distraction, these teachings offer us the opportunity to reconnect with something much deeper. They remind us that we do not need to chase after peace or enlightenment. Instead, we simply need to stop, sit still, and allow ourselves to be fully present. It is in the stillness, in the silence, that we begin to hear the truth that has always been there, just waiting to be acknowledged. The practice of mindfulness, as taught by the Buddha, is not just about observing thoughts. It is about developing a deep awareness of our experience without getting lost in it. It is about sitting with our thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and simply observing them without attachment. We do not need to control our thoughts or emotions. We simply need to see them for what they are, temporary, fleeting, and ever-changing. This deep awareness allows us to break free from the habitual patterns of our minds, and it is through this process of observing without judgment that we begin to experience true freedom. Mindful walking, a practice deeply rooted in the Thai forest tradition, is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to reconnect with the present moment. The monks walk slowly, with full attention on each step. The sensation of the ground beneath their feet, the movement of their legs, the rhythm of their breath. Each moment is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. It is not about reaching a destination. It is about being fully present in the journey. When we walk mindfully, we bring our attention back to the body, to the simple act of walking, and in doing so, we quiet the distractions of the mind. Mindful walking is a practice that can be easily incorporated into our daily lives. Whether we are walking to the store, through the park, or just around the house, we can use each step as an opportunity to practice mindfulness. We don't need to change anything about the way we walk. We simply need to bring our full attention to the act of walking. By focusing on the sensation of our feet touching the ground, the movement of our body, and the rhythm of our breath, we create a deep connection to the present moment. In addition to mindful walking, another powerful practice is simply sitting still. This practice, often regarded as the cornerstone of meditation, is one of the most transformative ways to cultivate mindfulness. Sitting still is not about forcing the mind to be quiet or trying to stop thoughts from arising. It is about allowing the mind to be as it is, without judgment. By sitting still, we create the space for our thoughts and emotions to arise, without reacting to them. This practice of stillness allows us to witness our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them, and it is through this witnessing that we begin to experience peace. The challenge of sitting still lies not in the act itself, but in our resistance to it. We are so accustomed to being constantly busy, constantly doing, that sitting still can feel uncomfortable. The mind becomes restless, and we may feel the urge to check our phones, get up, or move. But in these moments of discomfort, we have the opportunity to practice surrender. We do not need to control our thoughts or our restlessness. We simply need to be present with them. When we stop fighting the restlessness, it begins to lose its power over us. We begin to notice that thoughts, like clouds, come and go. They are not permanent. They do not define us. Silence, as we have already explored, is a powerful tool for awareness. But silence is not something to be avoided or feared. It is something to be embraced. In silence, we can begin to hear the subtleties of our inner world, the quiet hum of the breath, the subtle shifts in our emotions, the soft rhythm of our heart. Silence is the space in which awareness can grow. When we embrace silence, we allow ourselves to step out of the constant noise of the mind and into the present moment. We stop distracting ourselves from life, and we begin to experience it fully. The teachings of the Buddha remind us that silence is not a void to be filled, but a presence to be met. In silence, we find ourselves. We find the stillness beneath the surface of our thoughts and emotions. We find the peace that is always there, waiting for us to notice. Silence is the gateway to mindfulness, and through mindfulness, we discover a deeper connection to ourselves and to the world around us. As we practice mindfulness through silence, we develop a deep awareness of the present moment. We begin to see life not as a series of problems to be solved, but as a series of experiences to be felt. We stop trying to control the future or fix the past, and we start living fully in the now. This deep awareness of the present moment brings with it a sense of peace that cannot be found in the distractions of the world. In silence, we find the space to simply be. The monks and sages of ancient traditions understood something that many of us have forgotten, that the deepest wisdom is not found in words or concepts, but in silence. Silence is where we meet ourselves. Silence is where we discover the truth of our existence. And through silence, we reconnect with the world around us in a way that words and thoughts cannot achieve. Part 5. The healing power of the present. The connection between stillness and healing. We often hear the phrase, "time heals all wounds," but in truth, it is not time itself that heals, but the presence we bring to the wounds of our lives. Stillness, in its purest form, holds a remarkable power to heal, not just the body, but the mind and the spirit as well. The world tells us that healing is a process of action. We are taught to seek out treatments, techniques, and solutions, to do something to make ourselves better. We are conditioned to believe that healing requires effort, that it requires a battle against the wounds we carry. But what if the healing we so desperately seek is already here, waiting for us in the quiet spaces between our thoughts, in the stillness of the present moment? What if healing doesn't come from doing more, but from doing less, from sitting in the silence and allowing the body, mind, and heart to find their way back to balance? Stillness is not passive. It is an active process of allowing, of receiving, and of trusting. It is in these quiet moments of simply being, without any expectation, without any rush, that the most profound healing occurs. When we stop running, stop fighting, and stop avoiding, we create the space for healing to enter. The mind, when allowed to rest in stillness, can begin to release the tension it holds. The body, when given the time and space to relax, can begin to heal itself. In stillness, the body finds its rhythm again, the mind finds its clarity, and the heart finds its peace. When we sit quietly, when we breathe deeply and let go of the distractions that pull us away from the present moment, we allow the body's natural healing mechanisms to take over. We give ourselves permission to rest, to restore, and to reconnect with the flow of life. Stillness is not something that we force. It is something that we open ourselves to. It is in this openness that healing begins. Healing through sensory awareness. One of the most profound ways that stillness heals is through sensory awareness, the ability to fully engage with the body's sensations in the present moment. Our modern world is one of constant distraction. We are rarely aware of what is happening in our bodies because we are too busy focusing on what is happening outside of us. We race from task to task, from thought to thought, never pausing to listen to what our bodies are telling us. But when we stop, when we sit in silence, close our eyes, and turn our attention inward, we begin to reconnect with our bodies in a way that we've never known before. We become aware of the sensations that were always there, but that we've been too busy to notice. The warmth of the sun on our skin, the gentle rise and fall of our chest with each breath, the subtle tension in our shoulders or jaw, we begin to feel the body as it truly is without the filters of distraction. This sensory awareness is incredibly healing. By simply tuning into the body, we can begin to release the tensions and blockages that have built up over time. We become aware of where we are holding onto stress, where we are avoiding discomfort, and where we are resisting the flow of energy. By allowing ourselves to fully feel these sensations, without judgment, without trying to change them, we open ourselves to healing. We stop fighting the body's messages and we allow them to move through us. When we tune into our senses, we also become more attuned to our emotional state. Our emotions are not just abstract concepts, they are physical sensations in the body. When we feel anger, for example, we might notice tightness in our chest or a clenching of the fists. When we feel sadness, we may experience a heaviness in our heart or a lump in our throat. These emotional sensations are not separate from the body. They are the body's response to our inner world. By becoming more aware of these physical sensations, we can begin to heal emotional wounds as well. We learn to sit with the discomfort without trying to escape it. We learn to feel the emotions as they arise, without pushing them away or ignoring them. And in that simple act of awareness, we begin to release the emotional tension that has been stored in the body, healing emotional wounds. Emotional wounds, much like physical wounds, require attention and care. Yet so often we try to avoid our emotions or numb ourselves to them. We run from feelings of sadness, anger, or fear because we don't want to experience the pain they bring. We distract ourselves with busyness, substances, or external validation, hoping that the emotions will disappear on their own. But emotional wounds do not heal in avoidance. They heal in presence. When we bring awareness to our emotions, we give ourselves permission to feel them fully. This is not about wallowing in them or letting them take over, but about acknowledging them and allowing them to move through us. We can begin to heal our emotional wounds by learning to sit with our emotions, rather than running from them. When we stop pushing our emotions away, they begin to lose their power over us. We no longer need to control them because we are no longer afraid of them. This process of sitting with emotions is not easy. It requires courage and vulnerability. It requires us to be honest with ourselves about the pain we carry and to face it head on. But it is through this confrontation that healing occurs. When we sit with our emotions, we allow them to release their hold on us. We begin to understand that our emotions are not who we are. They are simply visitors passing through. By embracing them, rather than resisting them, we allow them to move on. The key to healing emotional wounds is non-resistance. When we resist our emotions, when we try to push them away or deny them, we only strengthen their grip on us. It is in letting go of resistance that we begin to experience true freedom. When we release our attachment to our emotions, we stop identifying with them. We stop believing that we are our sadness, our anger, our fear. We simply allow them to be, without trying to change them or control them. And in that act of non-resistance, we find healing, the transformational power of non-resistance. The concept of non-resistance is at the heart of many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism. Non-resistance does not mean passivity or complacency. It means accepting life as it comes without trying to force it to be different. It means surrendering to the flow of life and allowing ourselves to move with it rather than against it. Non-resistance is a powerful tool for emotional healing. When we resist our emotions, we keep ourselves stuck in them. We hold on to our pain because we are unwilling to face it. But when we release our resistance, we allow our emotions to move through us, just as the tide moves through the shore. We stop identifying with our pain, and in doing so, we free ourselves from its grip. Non-resistance is also about releasing the need to control our circumstances. We cannot control everything that happens in life, and when we try to do so, we create unnecessary suffering. But when we surrender to life's flow, we open ourselves to the possibility of transformation. We stop fighting life and instead we embrace it. This doesn't mean that we stop taking action. It means that we stop trying to force outcomes. We trust that life will unfold as it should, and we allow ourselves to move with it. Through non-resistance, we create the space for healing to happen naturally. We stop fighting our emotions, our experiences, and our bodies. We stop resisting the things that cause us pain, and in doing so, we allow them to heal. We stop clinging to the past, and in doing so, we open ourselves to the possibility of new beginnings. Non-resistance is the gateway to freedom, freedom from attachment, freedom from fear, and freedom from the past. The healing power of stillness and presence. Stillness is not just the absence of movement. It is the presence of peace. It is in stillness that we connect with the present moment, and it is in the present moment that healing happens. The past cannot heal us and the future is not yet here, but in the present moment we can find all the healing we need. When we practice stillness, we create the space for our minds and bodies to heal. We stop pushing against the pain, the sadness, the fear, and we allow ourselves to simply be with it. In that stillness, we give ourselves the gift of presence, the presence of mind, the presence of heart, and the presence of body. It is in this presence that we find our greatest healing. The concept of stillness as a healing force is ancient, but it is just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. We live in a time that values speed, efficiency, and achievement. We are constantly told to go faster, do more, be more. But stillness teaches us something different, that healing comes from slowing down, not speeding up. It's in the moments when we stop chasing after the next thing and simply rest in the present that we begin to find the peace we've been seeking. Healing does not come from action alone. It comes from the quiet moments where we are simply being. Stillness gives us the space to acknowledge our pain without judgment. It asks us to sit with discomfort, to sit with emotions that we would rather avoid. It's tempting to think that healing is about getting rid of pain or sadness, but in reality, it's about accepting it, allowing it to be, and then allowing it to pass through us. Pain is not something that defines us. It's something we experience. The act of sitting still with our pain allows us to separate our identities from it. We realize that we are not our sadness, our anger, or our fear. We are the awareness observing these emotions. In stillness, we learn to step back and observe instead of being consumed by our emotions. But this process of embracing stillness isn't always easy. Our natural inclination is to move, to act, to do something to change the way we feel. We may try to distract ourselves with work, with entertainment, or with substances. But in doing so, we avoid the very thing that can heal us, our own presence. By stepping into stillness, we learn to sit with what is without trying to change it. It's in this acceptance that true healing begins. When we stop resisting, when we stop trying to escape, we can finally meet ourselves as we are, whole, complete, and worthy of love. The present moment is where we truly encounter life. In the past, we may have been trapped in memories of old wounds or regrets. In the future, we may live in constant anticipation of what is to come, always waiting for the next thing. But in the present, we find our wholeness. The present moment is where we are truly alive. It's where healing takes place, where the mind and body come into alignment, and where peace is not a distant dream, but a living reality. Healing through the present moment. The present moment, when fully embraced, holds immense healing potential. It is the only moment that truly exists. The past is gone, the future is yet to come, and the present is all we have. But in our modern lives, we often fail to live in the present. We let the worries of the past and the anxieties of the future steal our attention, and in doing so, we miss the richness of the now. The act of being in the present moment is not something that happens automatically. It requires practice. Mindfulness, paying full attention to the present moment without judgment, allows us to anchor ourselves in the now. In doing so, we create a space for healing to take place. The present moment is where we meet ourselves, where we reconnect with our breath, our body, and the sensations of the world around us. It is in this space of awareness that the healing of the mind, body, and spirit begins. Healing comes when we allow ourselves to feel what is true for us in the present. It's easy to try to push away uncomfortable feelings or to avoid painful memories. But when we do that, we create internal resistance. Resistance only strengthens the hold that pain has on us. In contrast, when we allow ourselves to feel our emotions, to sit with them without judgment, we allow them to pass through us. The healing comes not from avoiding or suppressing our emotions, but from meeting them head-on with acceptance and compassion. When we sit still, we create a space of acceptance. We give ourselves permission to feel, to experience, and to be. In that space, we allow our emotions to move freely, and in doing so, we release the grip they hold on us. In silence, we connect with our body and we begin to notice the subtle sensations of healing that arise within us. The body is a profound teacher, and in the present moment, we begin to feel its wisdom. The transformative power of presence. When we are fully present, we access a deeper level of healing. Our presence, our awareness, acts as a transformative force. It is in the moments when we stop doing and start being that the healing process accelerates. We no longer need to force anything. We simply need to be present with what is. The more we practice being in the present, the more we begin to experience the transformative power of presence. Presence is a state of being that transcends the past and future. It is a state of mind and body where we are fully engaged with the here and now. When we are present, we are free from the constraints of time. We are no longer prisoners of our thoughts or our emotions. Instead, we are able to step outside of our mental patterns and simply experience life as it unfolds. This kind of presence is incredibly healing. It allows us to let go of the weight of past trauma and the uncertainty of the future. In the present, there is no need to worry, no need to fix anything, no need to control. There is only the experience of being. Healing through presence means being fully aware of the sensations in our body and mind, without judgment. It means accepting our thoughts and emotions as they are, without trying to change or suppress them. It means allowing the body to speak, to feel, to release. Presence is not about forcing healing to happen. It is about creating the conditions for healing to occur naturally. By simply being present, we invite the healing process to unfold. As we practice presence, we begin to see how much of our suffering is rooted in our resistance to life. We resist our emotions, our thoughts, and the sensations in our bodies. We resist the present moment because we want things to be different, but in presence, we stop resisting. We allow ourselves to experience life fully without attachment to how it should be. This non-resistance is the key to healing. When we stop fighting what is, we allow what is to transform us. The role of self-compassion in healing. Central to healing is the practice of self-compassion. To heal, we must treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a dear friend. When we sit with our pain, we must not judge ourselves for feeling it. We must not berate ourselves for being human. Instead, we must offer ourselves gentleness and care, allowing the healing process to unfold at its own pace. In doing so, we create the space for true transformation. Self-compassion involves acknowledging our suffering without judgment, offering ourselves love and acceptance, and allowing ourselves to rest in the knowledge that we are enough. It's through this self-compassion that we begin to heal not only our emotional wounds, but also our relationship with ourselves. We stop seeing ourselves as broken or flawed, and instead, we embrace ourselves as whole and worthy of love. In this space, we find the freedom to heal, embracing the present moment as a path to healing. The present moment is the doorway through which we enter healing. It is the place where we let go of the past and the future and allow ourselves to simply be. It is where we find peace, clarity, and connection. In the present moment, we find our truest selves, and in that truth, healing is possible. By cultivating presence, mindfulness, and self-compassion, we open ourselves to the profound healing power of now. Part 6. The role of breath in becoming fully present. The breath as a gateway to presence. If we pause for just a moment, we can become aware of the rhythm of our breath. In and out, the breath flows effortlessly, like the gentle tide of the ocean. We often take this rhythm for granted, so absorbed in the noise of the world and the rush of our thoughts that we forget that this simple, natural act of breathing is, in itself, a profound connection to the present moment. The breath, like an anchor, has the ability to pull us away from the distractions of the past and the future, grounding us in the here and now. The beauty of the breath lies in its simplicity. It does not require us to strive, to achieve, or to force it into being. It is always there, always present, always moving through us. But in the chaos of life, we often lose touch with it. We forget that with each inhale and exhale, we have the opportunity to come back to the present moment. The breath is a doorway, a bridge between the mind and the body, between the external world and our internal experience. When we focus on our breath, we enter a state of awareness that is free from judgment and expectation. We stop the mental chatter, the constant noise of our thoughts, and simply observe the breath as it moves in and out of our body. In this simple act, we create space for presence to emerge. We stop identifying with the thoughts that constantly swirl in our minds and begin to identify with the simple act of being here, being now, being present. Breathing, in its most basic form, becomes a tool to calm the mind and body. In the midst of stress, anxiety, or distraction, focusing on the breath can be a powerful tool to bring us back to the present moment. The rhythm of the breath has a natural calming effect on the nervous system. When we consciously slow down our breathing, we send a signal to the body to relax, to release tension, to find peace. This is not a matter of forcing the breath into a certain pattern, but of simply paying attention to it. It is through this awareness that we can access the profound stillness that resides within us. Techniques for mindful breathing. Mindful breathing is the practice of bringing full awareness to the breath, of experiencing each inhale and exhale with full presence. It is a practice that can be done anywhere, at any time, and it can be incredibly transformative. One simple technique to begin mindful breathing is to focus on the breath as it enters and leaves the body. Sit in a comfortable position, with your spine straight and your body relaxed. Close your eyes if you wish, and bring your attention to the sensation of the breath as it moves in and out of your body. Notice the coolness of the air as it enters through your nose, the rise of your chest or abdomen as you inhale, and the warmth of the air as it exits your body with each exhale. As you continue to focus on your breath, thoughts may arise, thoughts about the past, the future, the things you need to do, or the worries that cloud your mind. This is natural. Instead of getting caught up in these thoughts, simply notice them and gently return your attention to your breath. If you find yourself becoming distracted, don't judge yourself. The practice of mindful breathing is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It's about returning, again and again, to the breath, to the present moment. Another technique for mindful breathing is the practice of deep belly breathing. This technique involves breathing deeply into the abdomen, allowing the belly to expand with each inhale and contract with each exhale. Deep belly breathing activates the diaphragm and engages the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps calm the body and mind. This technique is especially useful when we feel anxious, overwhelmed, or scattered. By slowing the breath and breathing deeply, we can calm the mind and create space for clarity and presence. You can also practice counting your breaths as a way to anchor your attention. As you inhale, silently count 1, and as you exhale, count 2. Continue this for a few rounds, and if you lose track, gently return to the count. The practice of counting can help to bring your attention back to the present moment, especially when the mind is busy or distracted. Mindful breathing is not a one-time fix, but a practice that deepens with time. The more we practice it, the more naturally we can return to the breath when life becomes overwhelming. With each conscious breath, we strengthen our ability to be present, to let go of distractions, and to live more fully in the moment. The breath and its connection to life. The breath is more than just a physiological process. It is a reflection of the ebb and flow of life itself. In every breath, we experience the cycle of life: inhale, exhale, rise, fall, birth, and death. The breath is a living metaphor for the cycle of existence. Just as each breath comes in and goes out, so too do the moments of our lives. They arrive and they pass. But in each moment, in each breath, we have the opportunity to be fully alive, to embrace the flow of life as it is. The rhythm of the breath mirrors the rhythm of life. Just as the breath flows naturally without force, so too can life unfold when we stop trying to control it. The more we resist the natural flow of life, the more tension we create, both in the body and in the mind. But when we surrender to the rhythm of the breath, we begin to trust the rhythm of life. We learn to embrace the ups and downs, the moments of stillness and the moments of movement. We understand that life is not meant to be controlled or fixed, but to be experienced fully and completely as it unfolds before us. Breath, in its essence, is the embodiment of life. It connects us to the world around us and to the world within us. Each breath is a reminder that we are alive, that we are here, that we are part of the vast web of existence. When we pay attention to the breath, we are reminded that we are not separate from life. We are part of it. The breath connects us to the present moment, to the space between thoughts, to the stillness that resides within us. In this sense, the breath becomes not just a tool for relaxation or focus, but a powerful practice for deepening our connection to life itself. When we align with the rhythm of our breath, we align with the rhythm of life. We stop fighting against the flow and start flowing with it. Practicing with the breath. The practice of breathing is not limited to moments of meditation or quiet reflection. It can be integrated into every activity, every moment of our day. By bringing mindfulness to our breath in ordinary activities, we can transform even the most mundane moments into opportunities for presence and awareness. One simple practice is to bring your attention to your breath while performing routine tasks, whether it's washing dishes, walking, or sitting at your desk. Whenever you feel distracted or overwhelmed, take a moment to pause and breathe. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, release the tension in your body and mind. This simple act of returning to the breath helps to ground us in the present moment and bring clarity to our thoughts. Another way to practice with the breath is to use it as a tool during times of stress or anxiety. When you feel your mind racing or your body becoming tense, Stop for a moment and focus on your breath. Breathe deeply into your belly, allowing the air to fill your lungs completely. With each exhale, imagine releasing the tension in your body, letting go of the stress that you are holding. This practice of conscious breathing can be a powerful tool to help calm the mind and bring peace to the body. By integrating breath awareness into our daily lives, we can begin to create a more mindful, present experience. We can learn to slow down, to tune into the rhythm of our breath, and to let go of the constant striving that pulls us away from the present moment. The breath, as simple as it may seem, holds profound power. It is a constant reminder that we are alive, that we are here, that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. When we focus on our breath, we reconnect with the flow of life and we become more fully present. Through the breath, we can find peace, clarity, and a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us. Every time we inhale, we take in the energy of life itself. Every exhale is a release, a surrender to the world around us, to the moment as it is, with no attempt to control or alter it. The flow of breath mirrors the flow of life, and when we allow ourselves to truly experience the breath, we begin to let go of the need to resist or control life's natural rhythm. We all have moments where we try to force things to happen. We try to control our environment, our emotions, and the people around us. We grip tightly onto the past and worry incessantly about the future. But the breath offers us a reminder that life is not something to be held onto. It is something to be allowed to flow through us. Just as each breath comes and goes, so do the moments of our lives. The more we resist the flow, the more we create tension in the body and mind. But when we let go, when we stop fighting the current, we begin to flow with life rather than against it. The breath teaches us the profound power of surrender. It invites us to release control and trust that, just as the breath comes and goes, so will our worries, our fears, and our anxieties. The breath teaches us that we are not separate from the world. We are part of the great rhythm of existence. By becoming aware of our breath, we begin to experience life as it is, without attachment, without resistance, and without the need for perfection. Integrating the breath into everyday life. One of the most beautiful aspects of the breath is that it is always with us. Unlike other tools or practices, the breath is never far away. We don't need special equipment or a quiet space to practice mindfulness. All we need is to pay attention, to bring awareness to the breath, wherever we are and whatever we're doing. This simple yet powerful practice can transform even the most mundane tasks into opportunities for mindfulness. Imagine walking down the street, or sitting in a meeting, or even cooking dinner. You can use these moments as an opportunity to reconnect with the breath. As you walk, pay attention to the sensation of each step. Feel the weight of your body shifting with every movement, and notice the rhythm of your breath as it flows in and out with the pace of your walk. In a meeting, instead of letting your thoughts run wild, take a deep breath and ground yourself in the present moment. With each inhale, feel yourself becoming more centered, and with each exhale, release any tension or distraction. These simple practices, when integrated into our daily lives, can have a profound impact. The breath allows us to be fully present in whatever we are doing. Whether we are at work, at home, or in conversation, the breath becomes a constant guide back to the present. It is a reminder that life is not something we need to chase or control. It is something to be experienced in the here and now. Another way to integrate mindful breathing into everyday life is through short moments of focused breathing throughout the day. Take a few seconds, several times a day, to simply pause and breathe deeply. Close your eyes if possible, and take a few slow, deliberate breaths. With each inhale, feel the air fill your lungs, expanding your belly. With each exhale, release any tension or stress you are holding. These brief moments of conscious breathing can be incredibly grounding and can bring a sense of calm amidst the busyness of life. By practicing mindful breathing in the midst of our daily routines, we begin to cultivate a deeper sense of awareness. The more we practice, the easier it becomes to stay present, even in the most challenging situations. we begin to feel more connected to ourselves, to our surroundings, and to the flow of life itself. Breath as a mirror of life. The breath is not just a tool for presence, it is a mirror of life. Every inhale is a moment of new possibility, a fresh start. Every exhale is a moment of release, of letting go. Together, these two movements mirror the ebb and flow of life itself. Just as we breathe in and out, so too do the experiences of life come and go. Nothing in life is permanent. Just as the breath is never the same from one moment to the next, so too are the moments of our lives fleeting. But the breath also teaches us something deeper. It teaches us that there is beauty in the transience of life. Every breath reminds us that we are not meant to hold on to anything forever. We are meant to experience each moment fully, without attachment, knowing that just as the breath moves in and out, so too do all experiences. When we let go of our attachment to outcomes, to expectations, and to control, we find freedom. We discover that life is not something to be possessed, but something to be experienced. Breath is the embodiment of life's natural cycles, the rise and fall, the coming and going. It is a constant reminder that we are part of a larger whole. When we align ourselves with the breath, we align ourselves with the natural rhythm of life. We let go of the need to force things to happen, and instead, we move with the flow. The breath shows us that life does not need to be controlled or managed. It simply needs to be experienced. When we let go of our resistance, we find peace. The healing power of breath. The healing power of breath cannot be underestimated. It is the simplest, most accessible tool we have for returning to the present moment. And yet, its effects are profound. Breath is the gateway to mindfulness, the bridge between the body and the mind. It is in the breath that we find clarity, peace, and a deeper connection to ourselves. When we practice mindful breathing, we create space for healing to take place. The breath allows us to release stress, to calm the mind, and to restore balance to the body. It is in the rhythm of the breath that we find the healing power of the present moment. As we breathe, we let go of tension, of worries, and of fears. With each exhale, we release the weight we carry and create room for renewal. Breath is not just a tool for relaxation, it is a powerful force for transformation. By bringing our awareness to the breath, we tap into the wisdom of the body. We begin to listen to what our body needs, and we begin to heal from within. The breath is a constant source of nourishment, and by becoming more mindful of it, we create the conditions for deep healing to take place. Integrating the breath into every moment. Ultimately, the breath is the key to being fully present. It is the thread that connects us to the present moment, to life itself. When we bring our attention to the breath, we connect with the natural flow of life. We stop fighting against the current and instead we flow with it. The more we practice mindful breathing, the more we begin to experience the fullness of life. Each moment becomes a new opportunity to be present, to be alive, and to let go of our attachments. The breath teaches us to stop striving, to stop reaching, to stop pushing against the current. It invites us to be still, to let go, and to trust in the process of life. In the breath, we find our truest selves, alive, present, and free. Part 7. Finding peace in the pause. The power of pausing. In a world that is constantly moving, constantly demanding our attention, there is something profoundly powerful in the act of pausing. It may seem like a small thing, a fleeting moment, but within that pause lies the key to deeper presence, clarity, and connection. We live in a time where we are taught to fill every moment with activity, to always be doing, achieving, and moving forward. The value of pausing, of simply stopping for a brief moment, is often overlooked. But it is in this pause that we find space, the space to breathe, to reflect, to be. We often think of life as a continuous stream, an endless flow of actions, thoughts, and emotions that we must navigate. But what if we stopped thinking of life as a series of actions and instead recognized it as a series of pauses? The moments between actions, thoughts, and emotions, those fleeting, often unnoticed gaps, hold an incredible potential. These pauses are where true presence lies. When we learn to pause, we learn to be fully present with ourselves and with the world around us. A pause is not a void to be filled. It is not a gap of nothingness, but a space of potential. It is in the pause that we can choose how to respond, how to act, how to think. It is in these small moments of stillness that we reclaim our power. The pause is an invitation to step back from the whirlwind of life and reconnect with the present moment. It allows us to create space between stimulus and reaction, between thought and action, between emotion and expression. In this space, we are free to choose, not just to react, but to respond with intention and awareness. The power of pausing is in its ability to bring us into the present moment, to stop us from being swept away by the current of life. It is in the pause that we can release the need for control, the need for constant doing, and simply be. The pause teaches us that we don't need to fill every moment with noise or activity. We can find meaning in the space between. Pauses as spaces of potential. A pause is not just an interruption in the flow of life. It is a space of potential, a moment when we can choose how to respond to the world around us. It is in the pauses between our thoughts that we have the chance to cultivate awareness, to witness the ebb and flow of our emotions and reactions without being swept up in them. The pause is a moment of reflection, a moment when we can check in with ourselves and decide how we want to move forward. In the pause, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without being attached to them. We can notice the arising of feelings, whether it's anger, frustration, joy, or sadness, and simply observe them without judgment. We don't need to act on these emotions right away. We can allow them to pass through us. This is the power of the pause. It creates a moment of space where we are not at the mercy of our impulses, but where we can choose to respond consciously, rather than react unconsciously. The pause allows us to break free from the autopilot mode that so often governs our lives. How often do we find ourselves acting without thinking, reacting without awareness, simply going through the motions of life without truly engaging with it? The pause gives us the opportunity to step out of this automatic pattern. It is in the space between thoughts that we can choose how to respond, how to feel, and how to be. By embracing the pause, we shift our relationship with time. We stop feeling the pressure to constantly rush forward, to fill every second with something to do, and we allow ourselves to experience life in its fullness. Pauses don't have to be long, but they have the power to completely change our experience of life. A moment of stillness, a deep breath, a pause before reacting. These small moments of presence are where life happens. These are the moments that allow us to truly engage with the world. The impact of pausing on relationships. The power of pausing extends beyond our own experience. It also has a profound impact on our relationships. In a world where conversations often feel rushed, where thoughts are interrupted and words are spoken without full presence, the pause can transform the way we communicate with others. How often do we find ourselves speaking before fully listening? How often do we react automatically, without taking the time to truly understand the other person's point of view? The pause can change all of this. In conversations, a simple pause before responding can completely transform the interaction. By pausing, we allow ourselves the space to listen deeply, to process what is being said, and to respond with intention rather than out of habit or emotion. In relationships, the pause is not just about waiting for your turn to speak. It is about giving the other person the time and space to express themselves fully. It is about creating a moment of silence between words, where true listening can happen. This kind of listening is not about waiting for your turn to talk. It is about being fully present with the other person, receiving their words with openness and curiosity, and responding from a place of deep understanding. Pausing in communication is also an act of respect. It shows the other person that you value their words, that you are willing to take the time to hear them fully. It shifts the dynamic from one of quick exchanges and surface-level conversation to one of depth and connection. It allows for more meaningful interactions, where both parties are engaged and present, rather than simply going through the motions of conversation. In silence, we find connection. When we pause, we are no longer rushing to fill the space with our own thoughts or opinions. We are creating room for the other person to be heard, for the relationship to deepen. The pause allows us to step back from our own needs and truly see the other person. It's in the silence between words that we can form a true connection, where communication becomes less about speaking and more about being with one another. The space between words. There is something incredibly powerful about the space between words. It is in this space that we can truly listen, not just to the words themselves, but to the meaning behind them. When we fill every moment with talking, with responding, with reacting, we drown out the richness of silence. But it is in the space between the words that the heart speaks. When we pause before responding, we allow ourselves to truly process the message we are receiving. We open ourselves to the deeper meaning of the conversation, to the unspoken emotions and thoughts that lie beneath the surface. In this space, we listen with more than our ears. We listen with our hearts. The pause allows us to tune in to the other person's feelings, their energy, and their intentions. It allows us to move beyond the words and connect with the essence of what they are trying to communicate. The space between words is also where our own wisdom arises. In the pause, we can reflect on what has been said, and from that reflection, we can respond with greater clarity and intention. We are no longer reacting impulsively, but responding thoughtfully, with awareness and understanding. The pause creates a moment of stillness in which the mind can clear, the heart can open, and the true meaning of the conversation can be revealed. The impact of pausing on relationships is transformative. It shifts our communication from surface-level exchanges to meaningful, connected conversations. It fosters understanding, empathy, and trust. When we pause, we invite the other person to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. We create space for a deeper connection, one that transcends words and touches the heart. Embracing the power of the pause. In the end, the pause is not just about slowing down. It is about deepening our connection with life itself. It is in the pause that we can find our center, where we can stop reacting and start responding from a place of presence and intention. The pause is where life unfolds in its truest form, free from distraction, free from judgment, and full of possibility. In every moment, there is an opportunity to pause. We can pause before we speak, pause before we act, pause before we judge. In the pause, we give ourselves the gift of presence, and it is in this presence that we find peace, clarity, and connection. In our modern world, we often find ourselves rushing through tasks, conversations, and even our own thoughts. We fill every moment with activity, believing that doing more will bring us closer to our goals, closer to happiness. But the paradox is this: the more we do, the further we move away from what truly matters. The more we rush, the less we are able to fully engage with life as it is. The pause teaches us that it is not in the doing but in the being that we find our peace. It is in the pause that we reconnect with the present moment, and in doing so we reconnect with ourselves. The pause as a tool for self-reflection. When we pause, we are given the opportunity to reflect on our actions, our words, and our emotions. In the rush of daily life, we often act without thinking, reacting out of habit or impulse. But the pause offers us a space to step back, to observe, and to choose how we want to respond. It gives us the freedom to break free from automatic responses and to engage more consciously with our surroundings. Reflection in the pause is not just about analyzing our actions. It is about understanding our deeper motivations, our fears, and our desires. When we pause, we allow ourselves to examine why we feel the way we do, why we react the way we do, and why we make the choices we make. This self-awareness is the first step towards transformation. Without the pause, we remain trapped in cycles of unconscious behavior. But when we pause, we give ourselves the gift of insight. In the stillness of the pause, we begin to understand ourselves more clearly. We begin to see the patterns that govern our thoughts and actions, and we gain the wisdom to choose differently. We move from being reactive to being proactive, from simply responding to life to actively engaging with it. In this space, we free ourselves from the tyranny of automatic reactions and begin to live with greater intention. The pause as a pathway to mindfulness. One of the most profound benefits of pausing is its ability to bring us into mindfulness, the practice of being fully present and aware in each moment. Mindfulness is not about escaping from life or retreating into our thoughts. It is about engaging with life fully, as it is right here and right now. And the pause is the perfect entry point into mindfulness. When we pause, we stop the constant mental chatter and return to the present moment. This simple act of stopping allows us to connect with the here and now, to notice the details of our surroundings, the sensations in our body, and the thoughts that are passing through our minds. The pause is the space in which mindfulness takes root, because in that moment, we are free from the distractions that pull us away from the present. Mindfulness is a practice, one that requires us to continually return to the present moment. The pause is an essential part of this practice. It allows us to check in with ourselves, to come back to the present, and to reconnect with what truly matters. In this space, we can notice the quality of our thoughts, the emotions that are arising, and the sensations in our body. We become more attuned to the flow of our experience, and we learn to engage with life in a more mindful, conscious way. The pause in relationships, building deeper connections. Perhaps one of the most powerful impacts of the pause is in our relationships. In a world where we are constantly trying to communicate, share, and connect, we often forget that true connection requires presence. It requires us to stop, to listen, and to be fully engaged with the other person. The pause, in this context, becomes a tool for deeper communication and connection. In our conversations, how often do we find ourselves waiting for our turn to speak, rather than truly listening? How often do we jump in with our own thoughts, without fully understanding what the other person is saying? The pause creates the space for true listening. It allows us to step back from our own thoughts and fully engage with the other person's words, emotions, and experience. When we pause before responding, we create room for the other person to be heard. This simple act of silence communicates respect, understanding, and empathy. It says, "I hear you. I am present with you. Your words matter." In this space of pause, we give the other person the gift of being fully seen and heard, and in doing so, we create a deeper connection. The pause also helps us to respond with intention, rather than reacting impulsively. When we are caught up in our emotions or our own thoughts, we often speak without thinking, without considering the impact of our words. But when we pause, we allow ourselves the time to reflect on what has been said, to understand the other person's perspective, and to choose our words more carefully. In this way, the pause transforms communication from a series of automatic responses to a conscious exchange of ideas and emotions. It deepens the quality of our relationships and helps us to engage with others from a place of mindfulness and presence. The space between words, the power of listening. The space between words is where true connection lies. It is in the pauses between sentences, between phrases, that we find the most profound moments of communication. These silences are not empty, they are full of meaning. They are the spaces in which we listen deeply, not just to the words being spoken, but to the emotion, the intention, and the essence behind those words. When we listen in the pause, we hear what is not being said. We become aware of the subtle shifts in tone, the body language, and the energy of the conversation. In this space, we can feel the other person's truth, their vulnerability, and their need to be understood. Listening in this way is a practice of compassion and presence. It requires us to set aside our own thoughts and judgments and simply be with the other person. The pause in communication also gives us the opportunity to reflect on what we have heard before we respond. It helps us to move beyond the initial impulse to react and gives us the space to choose our response with awareness. This intentional listening and responding allows for more meaningful conversations, where both parties are fully engaged and heard. It transforms our interactions from surface-level exchanges to deep, connected conversations. The pause as a tool for transformation. The pause is not merely a technique, it is a tool for transformation. In the pause, we find the space to reflect, to listen, and to be present. It is in the pause that we let go of the need for constant doing, constant striving, and constant reacting. It is in the pause that we reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. When we embrace the pause, we embrace the present moment. We stop rushing, stop filling every second with noise and distraction, and we allow ourselves to simply be. The pause becomes a portal to deeper understanding, deeper connection, and deeper peace. It is through the pause that we find freedom, not from the world around us, but from the mental patterns and habits that keep us trapped in distraction. In the pause, we release the pressure to do, to perform, and to achieve. We let go of the constant need to prove ourselves, to push forward, and to control the outcome. And in that release, we find peace. The pause is where we come home to ourselves, where we find our center, and where we reconnect with the flow of life. Part 8. The dance between thought and presence. Understanding the relationship between thought and presence. In the vast landscape of the human experience, few things are as elusive and powerful as thought. Thoughts seem to arise out of nowhere, often taking control of our minds, steering us away from the present moment. We've all experienced it, being caught in a thought loop, consumed by past memories, or anxiously worrying about the future. It's as if our thoughts have a life of their own, pulling us away from the calm and stillness of the now. Yet in the midst of this dance between thought and presence, there lies a profound truth. Thoughts are not separate from presence, they are part of it. Thought is a natural process. It's an inherent function of the mind, a mechanism designed to help us navigate the world, process experiences, and plan for the future. Thoughts are not inherently good or bad, they simply are. Just like the breath, thoughts come and go, and it is our relationship with them that determines whether they become a source of distraction or a tool for deeper understanding. The key to integrating thought with presence lies in recognizing that thoughts, like all things, are temporary. They are like clouds drifting across the sky, constantly shifting, constantly changing. But in the moment they arise, we often mistake them for reality. We believe that every thought is true, every thought is urgent, and every thought demands our attention. But thoughts are not facts. They are simply waves in the ocean of our consciousness, and they do not need to dictate the course of our lives. When we begin to understand the relationship between thought and presence, we can learn to sit with our thoughts without being swept away by them. Instead of trying to suppress or deny our thoughts, we can notice them, acknowledge them, and let them pass. By doing this, we create the space to remain anchored in the present, free from the constant pull of our mental patterns. The present moment is not a place where thoughts are absent. It is a place where we can observe them without being consumed by them. Learning not to cling to thoughts. The mind, by nature, tends to cling. It latches onto thoughts, attaching meaning, judgment, and emotion to them. We cling to the past, revisiting old memories and reliving old wounds. We cling to the future, endlessly planning, worrying, and anticipating. This clinging creates a sense of disconnection from the present moment. We become so wrapped up in our thoughts that we forget to experience life as it is. Learning not to cling to thoughts is one of the most important aspects of mindfulness. It's not about eliminating thoughts. It's about changing our relationship to them. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of the moment when a thought arises. We notice the tendency to latch onto it, to follow it down a familiar path. But instead of becoming absorbed by it, we gently let it go. We don't judge ourselves for having the thought. We simply acknowledge it and return to the present. This practice of non-clinging is not an easy one. Our minds are conditioned to hold onto thoughts, to identify with them, to believe they define who we are. But with practice, we begin to see that we are not our thoughts. Thoughts come and go, but we remain. We are the awareness behind the thoughts, the observer of the mind, not the mind itself. By learning to let go of attachment to thoughts, we open ourselves up to a deeper experience of life. We allow ourselves to be fully present without the weight of past regrets or future anxieties. One powerful technique for practicing non-clinging is simply to observe the thought without judgment. When a thought arises, notice it without attaching any label to it. Don't call it good or bad, right or wrong, just observe it. By observing the thought without getting involved in it, we prevent ourselves from becoming caught up in its narrative. We let it be what it is, a fleeting moment in the mind, and then we let it go. Mindful awareness of thoughts. In the journey of becoming fully present, developing mindfulness of thoughts is a critical practice. Most of us are unaware of the constant stream of thoughts running through our minds. We live on autopilot, reacting to our thoughts without ever stopping to notice them. But by becoming mindful of our thoughts, we can begin to break free from this automatic mode of living. Mindful awareness of thoughts means observing them with curiosity rather than judgment. It means noticing when a thought arises, acknowledging its presence, and then allowing it to pass without getting entangled in it. This doesn't mean we ignore or suppress our thoughts. It means we see them for what they are, temporary mental events that arise and fade away. The practice of observing thoughts without judgment can be incredibly liberating. When we stop identifying with our thoughts, we create space between ourselves and the mind. We stop believing that we are defined by our thoughts, that we are our fears, our doubts, or our memories. Instead, we become the silent observer, witnessing the mind without getting caught up in it. This practice helps us understand the nature of our minds. We begin to notice patterns, how certain thoughts arise automatically, how we tend to get lost in negative thinking, or how we replay past conversations or imagined future scenarios. By simply noticing these patterns, we begin to break free from them. We no longer react to every thought that arises. Instead, we simply watch them come and go. This awareness gives us the power to choose our response rather than being controlled by our thoughts. One effective technique for developing mindful awareness of thoughts is to practice labeling. When a thought arises, you can silently label it. Thinking, judging, worrying, planning, or whatever it may be. By labeling the thought, you create distance between yourself and the thought. You are no longer the thought, you are the observer of the thought. This practice helps to cultivate a sense of detachment, allowing you to be more aware of your mental patterns and, over time, to release your attachment to them. Techniques to release mental noise. Our minds are often filled with noise, racing thoughts, distractions, worries, and the endless chatter of the ego. This mental noise can be overwhelming, clouding our ability to be fully present and to experience life as it is. But there are practical techniques we can use to release this mental noise and return to the present moment. One of the most effective tools for quieting the mind is deep breathing. When we take deep, mindful breaths, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps calm the body and mind. Breathing deeply and slowly allows us to return to the present moment, to release the tension in the body, and to let go of the thoughts that cloud our awareness. When we focus on the breath, we naturally bring our attention back to the body, away from the mental noise. Another technique for releasing mental noise is to practice mindfulness during everyday activities. Whether we're washing dishes, walking, or driving, we can use these ordinary tasks as opportunities to practice presence. When we focus on the sensations of the body, the feeling of the water on our hands, the rhythm of our steps, or the sensation of the steering wheel in our hands, we bring ourselves back to the present moment. We stop thinking about the past or the future and simply experience the task at hand. This practice of mindfulness helps to clear the mental clutter and brings us back to a state of awareness and presence. Additionally, we can practice meditation as a way to release mental noise. Meditation provides a dedicated time to sit in stillness and observe the thoughts as they arise, without getting caught up in them. As we sit quietly, we notice the thoughts that come and go, and we simply allow them to pass without attachment. The more we practice meditation, the more we cultivate the ability to detach from our thoughts and return to the present moment. Finally, Cultivating a practice of self-compassion can help to release mental noise. When we are kind and gentle with ourselves, we are less likely to get caught up in self-criticism or judgment. The inner voice that tells us we're not good enough, that we're failing, or that we need to do more becomes quieter when we offer ourselves compassion. By treating ourselves with love and patience, we create the space for healing and stillness to emerge. The path to freedom, letting go of thoughts. Ultimately, the key to freedom lies in letting go of our attachment to thoughts. When we stop identifying with every thought that arises, we free ourselves from the tyranny of the mind. We realize that we are not our thoughts, we are the awareness behind them. Thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky, and we are the sky itself. As we cultivate mindfulness of thoughts, we begin to see that we do not need to hold on to every thought, every judgment, every worry. We begin to let go of the need to control our thoughts, to chase them, or to fix them. We learn to simply observe them as they come and go without clinging to them. In this process of letting go, we experience true freedom. We are no longer bound by the endless cycle of thought. We are free to be present, to be fully alive in the moment. The dance between thought and presence is ongoing, but with practice, we can learn to move with it rather than against it. We can stop fighting our thoughts, stop trying to control them, and simply allow them to flow. As we practice mindfulness, we create the space for true presence to emerge. And in that presence, we find the peace and freedom we seek. What if we stopped seeing our thoughts as truths that need to be followed or acted upon? What if we learned to simply observe them, allowing them to come and go without attaching any meaning to them? This practice of non-attachment to thought is not a form of suppression, but a form of freedom. It is the freedom to simply be, without the constant noise of our minds dictating our experience. The dance of thought and presence, the freedom in letting go. The dance between thought and presence is ongoing, but it is in our ability to step back and observe that we find our freedom. Imagine being able to witness your thoughts without being pulled into them. Instead of being swept away by the tide of mental chatter, you remain grounded in the stillness of the present moment. This ability to step back and observe is the gateway to mindfulness. It is the place where we can simply be aware without judgment, without analysis, without the constant drive to change or fix anything. In every moment there is an invitation to return to presence. Thought will arise, but it does not have to control us. We can notice the thought, acknowledge it, and gently return to the present moment, to the breath, to the body, to the simple act of being. This is the essence of mindfulness, not an absence of thought, but a peaceful coexistence with it. We learn to allow thoughts to flow, to pass, without clinging to them, and in doing so, we create the space for true presence to emerge. This practice of releasing attachment to thoughts is what brings us closer to our true selves. It is through this letting go that we reconnect with the stillness that lies beneath the noise. We begin to see that we are not defined by our thoughts, our worries, or our memories. We are the awareness behind them, the ever-present observer, untouched by the fleeting thoughts that arise and fade. And in this space of awareness, we find peace, becoming the observer, not the thinker. To truly embrace presence, we must shift our perspective from being the thinker to being the observer. We spend so much of our lives wrapped up in our thoughts, believing that they define us, believing that our identity is shaped by the narrative our minds create. But the truth is, we are not our thoughts. We are the consciousness that observes them. Our thoughts are like passing clouds. They come and go, without permanence or power unless we attach meaning to them. By cultivating mindfulness, we create space between ourselves and our thoughts. We stop identifying with them and start identifying with the awareness that observes them. This shift allows us to experience life from a place of freedom, rather than from the limitations of our thoughts. We become aware of our thoughts without becoming entangled in them, able to witness them without judgment or reaction. In doing so, we create space for true presence to emerge, a presence that is not colored by the past or the future, but by the clarity of the here and now. The practice of observing thoughts without becoming them is one of the most transformative aspects of mindfulness. It is not about controlling the mind, but about changing our relationship with it. It is about learning to observe without attachment, to let go of the need to fix or change the thoughts that arise. When we practice this, we discover the freedom that comes from simply being with ourselves, without the constant need to chase after every thought, every worry, every emotion. Techniques to quiet the mind and anchor in the present. In the midst of the busyness of life, we often find ourselves lost in the noise of our minds. Thoughts spiral, emotions overwhelm, and we feel disconnected from the peace we crave. The key to returning to presence is to find techniques that help us quiet the mental noise and return to the present moment. These practices are not about eradicating thoughts, but about creating the space for clarity and stillness to emerge. One powerful technique is the practice of breath awareness. As we breathe, we can bring our attention to the sensations of the breath, the rise and fall of the abdomen, the coolness of the air entering the nostrils, the warmth as it leaves the body. With each breath, we ground ourselves in the present moment. The breath becomes our anchor, pulling us back from the whirlwind of thoughts and bringing us into the here and now. When our minds begin to race, we can return to the breath, noticing the simplicity of this natural process and allowing it to guide us back to the present moment. Another technique for quieting the mind is the practice of mindful observation. In this practice, we focus our attention on something in our environment, a tree, a cloud, a flickering candle flame, and we simply observe it with full presence. We don't try to analyze it or judge it. We simply notice it as it is in the present moment. This practice helps us develop the ability to be fully present with whatever is before us, without getting caught up in thoughts or distractions. It helps us tune into the world around us, reminding us that presence is not about escaping our thoughts, but about meeting them with awareness. Mindful walking is another powerful tool for releasing mental noise. By paying attention to the movement of our body with each step, we bring ourselves into the present moment. We become aware of the sensation of our feet touching the ground, the rhythm of our breath, and the sights and sounds of the environment around us. Each step becomes an opportunity to practice mindfulness, to slow down, and to be fully present with each movement. Finally, meditation is perhaps the most powerful tool for quieting the mind. By setting aside dedicated time to sit in stillness, we can train our minds to return to the present moment. Meditation is not about stopping thoughts or achieving a state of mental emptiness. It is about observing thoughts without attachment, allowing them to arise and pass, like waves on the ocean. Through regular meditation practice, we cultivate the ability to return to the present moment more easily, even in the midst of life's challenges, releasing mental noise and finding clarity. One of the greatest challenges we face in our modern lives is the constant mental noise. Our minds are bombarded by thoughts, distractions, worries, and expectations, making it difficult to experience the peace we seek. But the practice of mindfulness offers us a path to silence this noise, to release our attachment to the constant chatter of the mind, and to return to the stillness of the present moment. Releasing mental noise requires us to become aware of the thoughts that arise and to let them go without getting caught up in them. It's about observing the thoughts without judgment, recognizing them as passing phenomena, and then allowing them to dissolve. This process is not always easy. It requires patience, awareness, and practice. But over time, we begin to notice that the mental noise becomes quieter, that we are able to return to the present moment with greater ease and clarity. By practicing mindfulness and breath awareness, we can begin to quiet the mind, releasing the clutter that distracts us from the present. When we stop identifying with every thought that arises, we create the space for clarity to emerge. In the stillness, we begin to see things as they truly are, without the distortion of our mental patterns. We begin to experience life more directly, without the constant filter of judgment, expectation, or fear. Releasing mental noise is not about suppressing thoughts or forcing them out. It is about recognizing that thoughts are not who we are. They are simply passing events in the mind, and we don't need to attach meaning or significance to each one. By letting go of our attachment to thoughts, we free ourselves from the constant pull of the mind. In this freedom, we find peace, the path to presence, the power of letting go of thoughts. At the heart of mindfulness is the practice of letting go of thoughts. It is in this letting go that we find true freedom. We learn to witness our thoughts without identifying with them, to allow them to come and go without attaching meaning or judgment. By letting go of our attachment to thoughts, we create the space for true presence to emerge. We stop being controlled by our thoughts, and we begin to live more fully in the present moment. This is not to say that we will never have thoughts again, or that our minds will suddenly become silent, but it is through letting go of the need to control our thoughts that we create the conditions for peace to arise. We no longer need to chase after every thought, every worry, every fear. We simply allow them to be, and in that allowance, we return to the present moment. As we continue to practice this process of letting go, we find that we are more connected to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. We experience life with greater clarity, depth, and meaning. We are no longer prisoners of our thoughts, but free to experience life as it is, in its fullness. Part 9. Presence beyond the moment. Extending presence into everyday life. It is easy to think of presence as something confined to special moments, perhaps in meditation or quiet solitude, moments when we can pause and focus entirely on the here and now. But what if presence wasn't something that existed only in these rare, isolated instances? What if presence could be brought into every aspect of our daily lives? The truth is, presence is not a state reserved for a select few moments. It is a state of being that can be extended into every action, every task, and every interaction. It is available to us at all times if we choose to cultivate it. In the whirlwind of our daily lives, we often rush from one task to the next, caught up in the need to get things done, to meet deadlines, and to fulfill our responsibilities. We are constantly thinking about what's next, what we need to do, what we haven't done yet. But when we stop and pause for just a moment, we realize that we don't need to rush. We can slow down and be fully present with whatever we are doing. Presence is not about escaping life's demands. It's about bringing mindfulness into the very activities that make up our day. Whether it's washing dishes, answering emails, or cooking dinner, we can bring our full attention to these tasks and experience them in their entirety. It is in these ordinary moments that we can discover the richness of life. When we are fully present, every action becomes meaningful, every gesture becomes purposeful. The simple act of washing dishes, for example, transforms from a mundane chore into an opportunity for mindfulness. As the warm water flows over our hands, as the dishes are scrubbed and rinsed, we can feel the texture, the temperature, and the movement. We can notice the sensations, the sounds, the quiet rhythm of the task. By bringing presence to these routine activities, we begin to find meaning in the ordinary. We see that life is not something to be rushed through, but something to be fully engaged with in each moment. There is beauty in the act of being fully present with what we are doing, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem. When we practice mindfulness in our daily tasks, we begin to experience life more deeply, with a sense of gratitude and wonder. This practice of bringing awareness into our daily lives is a key aspect of living with intention. It is through mindfulness that we become more attuned to the present moment, more aware of our thoughts, actions, and emotions. When we live with intention, we are not mindlessly going through the motions of life. We are fully engaged, fully alive, and fully present. The act of being present in our daily lives becomes a powerful tool for transformation. It helps us break free from the autopilot mode that so often governs our existence, and allows us to create a more conscious, fulfilling life. Finding mindfulness in routine activities. Mindfulness is not just something we practice on the meditation cushion. It is a way of living that can be integrated into everything we do. The beauty of mindfulness lies in its simplicity. It is not a complicated practice. It is simply the art of being fully present with whatever is happening in the moment. When we practice mindfulness, we stop worrying about what comes next and start focusing on what is happening right now. Eating, for example, can become a profound mindfulness practice. Instead of eating mindlessly, distracted by our thoughts or devices, we can savor each bite, paying attention to the taste, texture, and aroma of our food. We can feel the sensations in our body as we chew, swallow, and nourish ourselves. In this way, eating becomes not just a necessity, but an opportunity to practice presence. Similarly, walking can become a mindfulness practice. Each step is an opportunity to be present with our body, with the movement, and with the world around us. Instead of rushing to get from one place to the next, we can slow down and take in the sights, sounds, and sensations of the environment. We can feel the ground beneath our feet, the air against our skin, and the rhythm of our breath. Walking, like any other activity, becomes a sacred moment of connection when we are fully present. Even in the most mundane tasks, such as washing dishes or folding laundry, we can bring mindfulness. Instead of rushing through the task or resenting it, we can bring our full attention to the sensations and movements involved. We can feel the warmth of the water, the smoothness of the dishes, the softness of the fabric. These small, seemingly insignificant moments are the foundation of a mindful life. When we bring our awareness to them, we transform them from mundane chores into moments of connection and presence. Mindfulness in daily activities doesn't require us to change what we're doing. It simply requires us to change how we're doing it. We don't need to do anything extraordinary to experience presence. We simply need to be present with the ordinary, with the simple tasks that make up our lives. By practicing mindfulness in our daily activities, we begin to experience life more fully, with a sense of peace and gratitude. Living with intention. Living with intention is the natural next step in cultivating presence. It is about consciously choosing how we engage with each moment, rather than drifting through life on autopilot. It is about living in alignment with our values, our desires, and our true selves. When we live with intention, we are fully aware of the choices we make, and we take responsibility for our actions and their impact on ourselves and others. Living with intention requires us to slow down, to become more conscious of our thoughts, actions, and decisions. It means no longer reacting mindlessly to life's challenges, but responding with thoughtfulness, with clarity, and with purpose. Instead of being driven by external circumstances or unconscious habits, we begin to act from a place of deep inner knowing, guided by our values and our intentions. One of the greatest obstacles to living with intention is the tendency to overthink. In a world that constantly demands more from us, it's easy to become consumed by worries about the future or regrets about the past. We spend so much time planning, analyzing, and worrying that we lose sight of the present moment. But the truth is, living with intention doesn't require us to plan every detail of our lives. It requires us to be fully present and to act with awareness in each moment. When we live intentionally, we stop overthinking and start trusting ourselves. We stop second-guessing our decisions and learn to trust our instincts. We embrace the uncertainty of life, knowing that we don't need to control every outcome to be happy or fulfilled. Instead, we learn to trust the process and remain open to the lessons that each moment brings. Living with intention is about finding the balance between action and surrender. It is about taking responsibility for our lives, while also letting go of the need to control every detail. It is the art of aligning our actions with our deepest values and desires, without overthinking or forcing outcomes. When we live with intention, we experience a deep sense of peace and satisfaction, knowing that we are living in alignment with our truest selves. The deep satisfaction of living in alignment with your true self. The greatest gift of living with intention is the deep sense of satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with our true selves. When we live in this way, we no longer feel the need to chase after external validation or approval. We are no longer defined by the expectations of others or the pressures of society. Instead, we are guided by our own inner compass, our own sense of purpose and meaning. Living authentically, in alignment with our true selves, brings a sense of fulfillment that cannot be found in external achievements or possessions. It is the satisfaction that comes from knowing that we are living according to our values, that we are acting in ways that are true to who we are. This deep sense of satisfaction comes from the simple act of being fully present and aware, from living with purpose and intention, and from making choices that reflect our innermost desires and aspirations. When we live in alignment with our true selves, we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or to measure our worth by external standards. We stop seeking validation from others and start seeking it from within. The satisfaction that comes from this self-acceptance is far deeper than any external achievement could ever provide. It is a peace that comes from knowing that we are enough, just as we are. Living with intention and presence is not about achieving perfection. It is about embracing the present moment, being true to ourselves, and responding to life with clarity and purpose. It is about letting go of the need to control everything and trusting that we are already on the right path. In this space of authenticity, we find the deep satisfaction that comes from simply being who we are, in the here and now. In our world, it's easy to get caught up in the external demands of life. We measure our worth by what we accomplish, by how others see us, and by the milestones we reach. We often find ourselves in the constant chase for more, thinking that the next achievement, the next success, the next goal will bring us the satisfaction we seek. But the truth is that fulfillment doesn't come from more. It comes from being more, being present, being aware, and being authentic. When we begin to live intentionally, we let go of the need to constantly chase after external validation or success. Instead, we start to align our actions with our values, our desires, and our authentic selves. The beauty of this is that, in doing so, we stop measuring our lives against someone else's standards and begin to live in a way that feels true to who we are. This shift from external validation to internal alignment brings a profound sense of peace. It's not about perfection or having it all figured out. It's about embracing life in all its imperfect beauty and knowing that, in each moment, we are enough. We are exactly where we need to be, and we are doing exactly what we are meant to be doing. This realization brings with it a deep sense of satisfaction that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. The quiet power of living with intention. Living intentionally is a quiet power. It doesn't require grand gestures or dramatic changes. Instead, it's a subtle shift in how we approach each moment. It's about choosing to engage with life rather than letting life happen to us. It's about slowing down and paying attention to the small details, the way the sun feels on our skin, the sound of a friend's voice, the simple act of sipping a cup of tea. These moments, though seemingly insignificant, are where true richness lies. And when we live with intention, we begin to notice them, to fully experience them, to find joy in their simplicity. The practice of living with intention asks us to be mindful of how we spend our time, energy, and attention. Every action becomes an opportunity to align with our true selves. When we approach life with intention, we ask ourselves, what is truly important to me? What do I value? How can I live in a way that reflects that? This deep awareness informs everything we do, from the choices we make in our relationships to the way we approach our work, health, and personal growth. Living with intention also means embracing the present moment, regardless of external circumstances. We don't wait for the perfect moment to act or feel fulfilled. We understand that life is not about the destination, it's about how we journey. When we stop waiting for everything to line up perfectly, we find joy in what is right in front of us. Every moment, every interaction, every task becomes an opportunity to practice presence and alignment. The freedom of letting go of overthinking. One of the greatest obstacles to living with intention is overthinking. We often get caught in the endless cycle of planning, analyzing, and doubting, which leads us to miss the beauty of the present moment. We constantly question our decisions, second-guess our actions, and wonder what might have been. Overthinking pulls us away from the simplicity of being, from the peace that comes with just being here now. To live intentionally, we must learn to let go of overthinking. We must learn to trust ourselves, our decisions, and the process of life. It's about releasing the need to have everything figured out, to control every aspect of our lives, and to be certain about every choice we make. In the act of letting go of overthinking, we create space for clarity. We move from a place of anxiety and uncertainty to a place of trust and openness. Letting go of overthinking doesn't mean ignoring our thoughts or feelings. It means not allowing them to dictate our lives. It means acknowledging them, but not being ruled by them. When we practice letting go of overthinking, we allow ourselves to make decisions from a place of calm and presence, rather than from fear or doubt. We trust that, even if things don't go according to plan, we will handle them with grace and awareness. The more we practice letting go of overthinking, the more we begin to experience the freedom that comes from simply being. We stop being slaves to our mental narratives and start living in the flow of life. We find that life is less about achieving the perfect outcome and more about how we experience each moment, with intention and presence. The deep satisfaction of living in alignment with your true self. When we live in alignment with our true self, something remarkable happens. We feel a deep sense of satisfaction, peace, and fulfillment. This satisfaction is not dependent on external achievements, but on the internal alignment between who we are and how we live. It is the contentment that comes from knowing that we are being true to ourselves, that we are living authentically and with purpose. Living in alignment with our true self means making choices that reflect our deepest values and desires. It means saying yes to the things that nourish us and saying no to the things that drain us. It means creating a life that is a reflection of who we are at our core, not who we think we should be or who others want us to be. This alignment brings with it a profound sense of peace, as we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or chase after external validation. The deep satisfaction of living authentically is a quiet, internal fulfillment. It doesn't require applause or recognition from others. It is the satisfaction that comes from knowing that we are living our truth, that we are being present in each moment, and that we are embracing life with intention and awareness. This satisfaction is not fleeting. It is enduring because it is grounded in our connection to our true selves. When we live in alignment with our true self, we stop seeking fulfillment from external sources. We realize that everything we need is already within us. We stop measuring our worth by external standards, by the things we own, or the achievements we accumulate. Instead, we measure our worth by the love we give, the kindness we show, and the peace we cultivate within ourselves. This deep sense of self-satisfaction is the foundation of a life lived with intention, living in the flow of life. As we live more intentionally, we become more in tune with the natural flow of life. We stop resisting the flow and start moving with it. This doesn't mean that life becomes easier or that everything falls into place without effort. It means that we stop fighting against the current and learn to swim with it. We embrace uncertainty. We let go of the need for control, and we trust that the path will unfold as it should. Living in the flow of life is about embracing each moment as it comes, without judgment or resistance. It is about moving with the rhythms of life, trusting that we are exactly where we need to be. This flow is not about passivity. It is about active engagement with the present moment. It is about choosing to live with purpose and mindfulness, regardless of the circumstances. When we live in the flow, we experience life in its fullness. We no longer feel the need to push or strive for something outside of ourselves. We are content with what is, and in this contentment we find our peace. Living in the flow of life brings a deep sense of freedom because we no longer feel burdened by the need to control, fix, or perfect everything. We simply live fully, consciously, and with intention. Part 10. Becoming fully present through sleep. Presence in sleep, a continuation of practice. In our modern world, sleep is often seen as a necessary escape, a break from the demands of the day. We collapse into our beds after a long, exhausting day, hoping to rest and recharge, expecting to be carried away into the unconscious realm where our minds can finally find relief. But what if we saw sleep differently? What if sleep wasn't an escape from presence but an extension of it? When we think of mindfulness, we often think of waking moments, meditation, mindful eating, walking, or simply being present with our thoughts and surroundings. However, sleep is just as much a part of this journey as any other moment. Sleep, in its essence, is another state of consciousness, a space where presence can unfold. It is a time when we can deepen our connection with the present moment, not by doing, but by simply being. Many of us approach sleep with the goal of shutting down, of disconnecting from the world around us. But this can also be an opportunity to remain conscious, to embrace the stillness, and to continue the practice of mindfulness. Sleep doesn't have to be a time when we lose awareness. It can be a time when we enter into a deeper state of awareness, where we are still present, still observing, and still connected to the rhythm of life, even in the quiet of the night. Instead of seeing sleep as a departure from mindfulness, we can view it as an extension of our practice. In the same way we practice mindfulness in our waking hours, we can practice being fully present as we drift into sleep. This shift in perspective transforms sleep into something sacred, a time for the mind and body to rest, yet still be anchored in awareness. By cultivating a deeper presence in sleep, we begin to see that every moment, every state of consciousness, is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. Lucid dreaming as a practice for mindfulness. One of the most powerful ways to bring mindfulness into our sleep is through the practice of lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is the art of being aware within a dream, realizing that we are dreaming while still inside the dream itself. It is a form of mindfulness that transcends the waking world, allowing us to observe and engage with our dreams consciously. Lucid dreaming is a practice of awareness that bridges the gap between the conscious and unconscious mind. Imagine, for a moment, being aware that you are dreaming while in the midst of a dream. In this space, you have the ability to observe the dream without being controlled by it. You can navigate the dream with intention, making conscious choices about how you engage with the dream world. Lucid dreaming offers a unique opportunity to explore the nature of consciousness, to see how our minds create and shape our experiences, and to develop a deeper understanding of the connection between our waking and sleeping states. Lucid dreaming is a powerful tool for mindfulness because it requires us to be fully aware in the present moment, even as we sleep. By cultivating the ability to recognize when we are dreaming, we practice the art of being present in all states of consciousness. The skills we develop in lucid dreaming, awareness, clarity, and presence, can be brought back into our waking lives. Just as we can bring mindfulness to our waking moments, we can bring mindfulness into the dream world, exploring our subconscious with the same openness and awareness. Practicing lucid dreaming can also deepen our understanding of our waking experience. By exploring our dreams consciously, we can uncover the hidden beliefs, fears, and desires that influence our waking thoughts and behaviors. Dreams are often a reflection of our inner world, and by observing them mindfully, we gain insight into the patterns of our thoughts and emotions. Lucid dreaming becomes not just a practice of awareness within the dream world, but a mirror for our waking lives, helping us to become more conscious of our inner workings and more aware of the thoughts and emotions that shape our reality. Shifting our relationship with sleep. To embrace sleep as a continuation of our mindfulness practice, we must first shift our relationship with sleep itself. Many of us view sleep as something that happens to us, something we do passively, hoping to recharge and restore. But what if we could approach sleep with the same mindfulness and intention that we bring to our waking moments? What if we saw sleep not as an escape from life, but as an integral part of it? The connection between presence and rest is profound. Rest isn't just about shutting down the mind and body. It's about allowing ourselves to fully surrender to the moment, to let go of the mental noise, and to enter a space of complete trust and relaxation. When we practice mindfulness before sleep, we can prepare ourselves for a deeper, more restorative rest. This practice of mindfulness before sleep allows us to enter the sleep state with intention, calming the mind, releasing tension in the body, and letting go of the distractions of the day. One way to integrate mindfulness before sleep is to create a peaceful bedtime routine. This might involve simple practices such as deep breathing, gentle stretching, or guided meditation. These practices help to quiet the mind, calm the body, and set the intention for restful sleep. By taking time to slow down before bed, we shift our focus from the external world to the inner world, allowing ourselves to fully embrace the present moment before we drift into sleep. When we cultivate mindfulness before sleep, we also cultivate a deeper sense of relaxation. We let go of the worries and anxieties that often keep us awake at night. We release the tension that builds up in our bodies throughout the day, allowing ourselves to rest in peace. This kind of restful sleep is not only rejuvenating for the body but also for the mind and spirit. It creates the space for healing, for growth, and for a deeper connection to our true selves. The quiet, gentle nature of sleep practice. There is a quiet, gentle nature to sleep practice that is often overlooked in the rush of daily life. Unlike other practices where effort and focus are required, sleep is an opportunity to simply let go. It is a practice of surrender, of allowing ourselves to fall into the embrace of rest without resistance. It is in this surrender that we find the deepest peace. When we approach sleep with mindfulness, we are not trying to control or force anything. We are not trying to fix our sleep problems or achieve perfect rest. Instead, we are allowing ourselves to relax into the natural flow of the body's rhythms, trusting that sleep will come when we create the space for it. The key is not to struggle against the restlessness or the thoughts that arise, but to simply be with them, allowing them to pass as we surrender to the quiet. The practice of mindful sleep is about finding comfort in the unknown, in the uncertainty of what comes next. We let go of the need to know what will happen, and instead we enter sleep with intention, with the understanding that it is a natural part of life's flow. It is a time for the body to heal, for the mind to reset, and for the spirit to rest in peace. The ultimate awakening, embracing all states of consciousness. Ultimately, the practice of presence is not confined to any one state of consciousness. It is a continuous journey, one that extends through every moment of our waking and sleeping lives. Just as we practice mindfulness in our waking moments, we can practice mindfulness in our sleep. The ultimate awakening is the recognition that presence is not bound by time or external circumstances. It is always available in every moment, regardless of where we are or what we are doing. When we embrace presence in all states, whether we are awake, dreaming, or resting, we enter into a deeper connection with ourselves and with the world around us. We stop separating our experiences into compartments, waking life, sleeping life, meditative life, and we begin to experience them as one continuous whole. Presence is not a momentary state, but a way of being, a way of living that transcends the limitations of time and circumstance. In this ultimate awakening, we recognize that the present moment is not something we need to seek or attain. It is always here, always available, always flowing through us. Whether we are dreaming, awake, or in a moment of stillness, we can always return to the present, to the rhythm of life, and to the deep peace that comes with being fully alive in the moment. As we conclude this journey through the teachings of presence, stillness, and mindfulness, it's important to take a step back and reflect on the core lessons we've explored. The path we've walked has shown us that the key to living a fulfilled and peaceful life lies not in doing more, achieving more, or constantly striving, but in being present with what is. In every moment, we are invited to step out of the chaos of our minds and return to the stillness of the present. We are invited to embrace the now, not as a fleeting moment, but as the place where all of life happens. Throughout this journey, we've learned that presence is not a destination, but a continuous practice. It is not something we attain and then move on from. Presence is the practice of showing up for each moment, of being fully engaged with whatever we are doing, whether it's washing dishes, walking, working, or even sleeping. It's about being in the moment without rushing, without escaping, and without the constant need for distraction. The practice of presence reminds us that life isn't something to be controlled or perfected, it's something to be experienced. We have also explored the vital role of silence and stillness. In a world that is constantly pushing us to do more, speak more, and achieve more, we've learned that it is in the quiet moments, in the pauses between actions and thoughts, that true clarity and healing occur. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of peace. It is in silence that we reconnect with ourselves, listen to our bodies, and open ourselves to the wisdom that lies beyond the constant chatter of the mind. Through this practice of mindfulness, we've discovered that thoughts are not enemies to be defeated, but part of the natural flow of life. They arise, they pass, and they do not define us. The key is not to fight against them, but to observe them without attachment, to let them come and go like passing clouds. In this observation, we find freedom, freedom from the constant pull of our mental patterns, freedom from the tyranny of worry, and freedom from the need to control everything. One of the most profound lessons we've learned is that sleep is not an escape from presence, but an extension of it. Just as we can bring mindfulness to our waking hours, we can bring it to our sleep. Lucid dreaming, for example, offers us a way to practice awareness within our dreams, bridging the gap between our conscious and unconscious minds. Sleep, then, becomes not just a time of rest, but a time for deeper connection to ourselves and to the present moment. The practice of mindfulness before sleep, whether through deep breathing or relaxation techniques, helps us enter rest with intention and presence, allowing us to rejuvenate not just our bodies, but our minds and spirits as well. In the end, presence is not bound by time or external circumstances. It is always available in every moment, in every breath. It is a state of being that transcends the dualities of waking and sleeping, of action and stillness. To live fully present is to embrace each moment as it comes, with full awareness, with openness, and with acceptance. It is to let go of the need for control, to trust the flow of life, and to be open to the wisdom and peace that arises in each moment. As we reflect on the journey we've taken, it becomes clear that the true gift of presence is the deep sense of peace it brings. When we stop rushing through life, when we stop seeking outside ourselves for fulfillment, we begin to experience the richness of each moment. We find joy in the simple things, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of our breath, the taste of food, the touch of a loved one. We find fulfillment in the process of living, not in the attainment of some distant goal. Presence allows us to experience life in its fullness without the constant craving for more, and in this experience we find peace. Lessons from the journey. The central lesson of this journey is simple, yet profound. To live a truly peaceful and fulfilling life, we must be present. It is in the present moment that all of life happens. The past is gone, the future is unknown, and the only place where we truly exist is in the now. The practice of mindfulness and presence is not a way to escape from life, but a way to fully engage with it. By being present, we reconnect with ourselves, with the world around us, and with the essence of life itself. From this journey, we also learn the importance of silence and stillness. In a world filled with noise, it is easy to lose touch with our true selves. But silence is not something to be feared or avoided. It is a space of growth, of clarity, and of healing. By embracing silence, we give ourselves the chance to listen deeply to the wisdom that lies within us, and to experience life more fully. Finally, we have seen the profound impact of non-resistance. When we stop fighting against life, when we stop trying to control every outcome, we create space for peace to enter. Resistance only creates more suffering, but by letting go of the need to control, we open ourselves to the flow of life. This doesn't mean we stop taking action or making choices. It means we stop struggling with what is and instead move with the rhythm of life. How to apply this to your life? So how can we take these lessons and apply them to our daily lives? The key lies in small, consistent practices. Begin by bringing your awareness to the present moment. Whether you're walking, eating, or even washing dishes, take a moment to notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, the thoughts that come and go. Bring your full attention to what you're doing without distraction. This simple act of mindfulness will transform even the most mundane tasks into moments of connection. Practice stillness and silence. Take time each day to sit quietly and simply be. Notice the thoughts that arise, but don't engage with them. Let them pass, like clouds in the sky. This practice of observing without attachment will help you develop a deeper awareness of your inner world, and over time, will lead to greater peace. Embrace the present moment no matter where you are or what you're doing. Let go of the need to rush, to always be planning or doing. Take a deep breath and remember that this moment is enough. You are enough. Practice surrender, trust in the process of life, and stop trying to control everything. Trust that life will unfold as it should and you will find peace. Finally, remember that mindfulness is not just for meditation or quiet moments, it's a practice for life. Bring mindfulness to every action, every conversation, and every breath. When you do this, you will begin to experience life in a new way, fully engaged, deeply connected, and at peace with yourself and the world around you. Your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the journey of presence and mindfulness? How do you incorporate presence into your own life? What challenges do you face in staying present? And what practices help you remain grounded in the now? Share your insights and experiences in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation. Subscribe to Buddhism in every moment. If this journey of mindfulness and presence resonates with you, subscribe to Buddhism in every moment and support our mission to continue sharing these teachings. By subscribing, you help us create more content that encourages peace, mindfulness, and presence in the everyday. Let's walk this path together, one moment at a time. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to continuing this journey with you.